with Canada.
Despite the president's position that Canada would be better off as the 51st state.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
But Prime Minister Carney calls the president a transformational leader, adding that he's been elected to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy and border security. Carney says the two countries are stronger when they work together. The president also just telling reporters that Houthi rebels in Yemen have capitulated. He says they'll stop attacking ships if the U.S. stops bombing them.
And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis. Effective immediately.
Though he also says it's not a deal with the Houthis. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says it's always been a freedom of navigation issue.
A band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping. And the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
The Trump administration has been striking the Houthis daily for weeks. Israel hit a port in Yemen this week and an airport in the capital city today, targeting the Houthis after the rebels hit a main airport in Israel with a missile. Several cabinet secretaries are on the Capitol Hill grill, including Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem at a House hearing pressed by Democratic Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro about government efficiency cuts.
We are operating under the authority that the Department of Homeland Security
has. You have no authority to abrogate these funds.
Noem also defending the ongoing crackdown on illegal immigrants as Democrats argued due process rights for non-citizens. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy, and unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you that were misled into buying a timeshare. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
It's a pretty nice Tuesday afternoon, weather-wise, with sunshine in control. I think we'll top out at about 73 degrees. The evening is quite pleasant, right around 70. And then tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies return, 54. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. Couple of scattered showers, but no all-day rain, 69. Same story Thursday. Thursday's high, 75. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Triton Exteriors. Not sure if you've noticed, but the storms seem to be especially bad this spring. If you had James Hardy Smart Siding, you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not going to be damaged like in the 314-day storm. So we do roofing, siding, gutters, fences. We're always going to be the middle bid. We're never going to cut corners. We're never going to take advantage of you. Call 314-717-1159 or triton-stl.com.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com. Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, it's Tuesday. Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. Beautiful day outside. Hopefully you are out and about grabbing something to eat right now. Thank you for taking 97.1 FM Talk along with you for the ride. The YouTube live chat poll for today is, who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? And the reason to ask this question is not because we need to worry at this point in time about the 2028 presidential race, but I think that we will, as a conservative, Republican interested party, need to start thinking about what percentage of what is getting done right now is really Donald Trump and what percentage of it is the ideas and the policies behind what has made Donald Trump successful. So you have to think to yourself a little bit about, okay, so what is the president prioritized as his party platform? And I think safety and security is tops. And I'm hearing this quite a lot as well from people in the state of Illinois, trying to get a purple hue back to the state of Illinois as opposed to being deep, deep blue. How do you get that message? Like, what message resonates with the most people? And safety and security seems to be at the top of the list. It's the easiest to convey to people that this is what we advocate for on this side of the aisle. And it's the easiest to point to the other side of the aisle and look at that's the idea that you would prioritize the citizens of this United States, the citizens of a particular state, the citizens of a particular, city boundary, that those citizens deserve the protection that their taxpayer dollars are investing in, that is something that is a priority. That is a message that resounds with voters on both sides of the aisle. And it's important to understand moving forward into midterm elections, which in the midterms for the state of Illinois will be the statewide elections. It's important to look to what will actually widen and broaden the proverbial tent the most so that you can have a victory. Donald Trump turned pretty much every political rule upside down and did things his own way, but he did it because, especially now, I think people believe him. When he says something, people believe that what he is speaking towards, what he is talking about, more than they ever have before, they believe that he believes he's got the plan. He has a process in his mind as to how to get the end that we as Americans want. And that's a safer, more secure country. It's not just the border. I think it's easy to boil that down to border security. It's easy to look at MS-13, Tren de Aragua, and say, wow, those are bad guys. They need to leave. But you can't be plucking these bad guys out of our country while also allowing who the heck knows through the southern border. So the conversation surrounding our border security has always kind of been a tug of war between, oh, but what about our immigration system? It needs a lot of work, but we need to secure the border first. And the president is working on both of those things. He's working on taking people who have come here illegally, which, yeah, that's a crime. It is a crime. Now, just like every other crime that exists, you can have first-degree murder and you can steal a loaf of bread. Both of those things are crimes. Just because one is worse than the other, or the motivation behind first-degree murder and the motivation behind stealing a loaf of bread is different, doesn't make it less of a crime. However, if you're in front of a jury, if you're in front of a judge, your situation, your case may possibly result in lesser consequences because of the context of how you got to the place where you committed the crime. But if you are shown mercy because of the context of your situation, that doesn't negate the fact that there still was a crime committed. When the president talks about encouraging people to self-deport and really working with many of these different individuals who are here, who are working hard on figuring out new worker visa ways for them to stay, making it so that if you take care of your own business and do the right thing regarding being in this country illegally, do the right thing to self-deport, that you will potentially be prioritized in a way to come back to the United States. I think that there's a sensible mercy that exists there. I know yesterday we discussed the possibility that the president has said, it's not the possibility, they've made this a policy that if you log onto the app because you're here illegally and you begin the process to self-deport, they will put you and pay for a commercial flight back to your country of origin, and they will give you $1,000 check on your way out, which is a 70% savings over the process for the United States to go about seeking, finding, and deporting on their own. A 70% savings. I would like to see the potential for people who were here with good standing outside of their entry to the country. Maybe you've got character witnesses that exist within the United States, the people who you worked for, people that you built relationships with. There could very well be an immigration status that is created for people who self-deport to re-enter this country, but to do so outside of the shadows. I would think, all things considered, that if the Trump administration would establish some sort of policy that would allow the best of those people who came here illegally to re-enter on status, in cooperation with the United States, in agreement with the laws that the citizens of the United States have to abide by, and to do so through that process. Once you've self-deported and you're in that CB1 app, CB Home app, I guess what it is, then you're in our system. And if there's a status that could be given to these individuals that allows them re-entry within the confines of our system, I think that there is an enticement that can be made to bring those people back. This is where the president had to initially do what he promised, which is to secure the southern border, to secure the northern border as well. As we speak, he is meeting with the new Prime Minister of Canada. One of his main promises that he made was that he would be able to secure it and that he would deport the people in this country who do not belong here. We talk about what's on the other side of the 100 days. I think that we're about to see some potential immigration policies in the next 100 days that organize the people who choose to self-deport in a way that entices even more people to consider, okay, this is my plan on how to be here in the United States outside of living in the shadows, not having to be afraid. I'm going to do the right thing and put myself in a position to come back here and to do so legally. That's something that I would like to see President Trump address sooner rather than later. But certainly the next person to take up the mantle of what Donald Trump has started here, they're going to have forward-thinking plans. They're going to have to be able to make deals. They are going to have to understand the principle of the policy and have enough flexibility that they can actually get the policy across the finish line. Going back to my home state of Illinois, the downfall of candidates who run for statewide office in Illinois is that they are so generally wrapped up in the idea of this idealism that is not achievable across a state like the state of Illinois, that they end up losing the benefits of the principle that they could put in place should they get elected. America will have to think on the other side of Donald Trump's second term in a way that we haven't thought about since probably 2015. It's been a good decade since we've been considering what American politics looks like without the direct influence of Donald Trump. I'm certain that if Donald Trump healthily makes it through his second term, that he will have a heavy sway in what happens next with Republican politics and the nomination for the presidency. But we just simply don't know yet what that Republican Party is going to look like. And I think this is an exciting time because that means if you're somebody who considers yourself to be center right, or a staunch Republican, you're going to have a say in where this party goes next. A big say. In the interview that took place this weekend with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, Trump was asked about his third term, if he's going to run for one. And of course, Donald Trump, he waves that off and he's like, I don't have any plans for that. But he loves to remind you, everybody wants me to do it, which is just enough to get under the skin of those people who fear a Donald Trump third term. A real Donald Trump third term would look like America First as the new mantle for the Republican Party.
Seriously considering a third term, Mr. President, even though it's prohibited by the Constitution, or is this about staying politically viable?
I will say this. So many people want me to do it. I have never had requests so strong as that, but it's something that, to the best of my knowledge, you're not allowed to do. I don't know if that's constitutional that they're not allowing you to do it or anything else, but there are many people selling the 2028 hat. But this is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
So then he goes on to say that he's discusses 2 names that would be good replacements, but he doesn't want to throw all the weight of his current position behind those names. Obviously, the first one is J.D. Vance, but it's interesting that he's not willing to completely go behind and say J.D. Vance is the next guy. He highlights Marco Rubio as well. Now, if you've seen, there's a hilarious, let's see, it's Tony Kinnett, I think, is who does it on X. I think I retweeted it, but he basically goes through the Full House intro with the music and everything, and it's just Marco Rubio as every person that's in the White House, because Marco Rubio continues to absorb all of these different positions. Of course, Secretary of State, but now potentially National Security Advisor, among other things. I think he's in charge of USAID and all of this stuff. He continues to get these responsibilities, and he's doing a really great job at it. Didn't surprise me. A lot of people keep posting on social media like, who could have seen Marco Rubio coming? Me, since 2015. Huge fan. Would love to see him as the president of the United States. J.D. Vance, I've got nothing against J.D. Vance. I think that he'd be a great person to continue on the America First agenda because I think he actually believes it. But who's it going to be? That's what we're asking you today in the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and now those 2 names specifically because those are the 2 names that President Trump listed in this speech. We'll get that clip for you a little bit later in the show. You can vote for Vance, Rubio, or another Republican. I saw somebody, I think it was Scooter, said, what? No Ron DeSantis? Well, he didn't list Ron DeSantis, and I don't think he's going to list Ron DeSantis, but the American people could choose Ron DeSantis. I would love him as well. Or you're voting Democrat. You can let us know on the Annie Fry YouTube channel what you think about that. When we come back, you know a lot about this Ed Martin stuff. It's okay. So Will's going to be on with us at 1:25. Will Chamberlain. Do you know a lot about the Ed Martin judgeship? Or no district attorney in Washington, D.C.?
No, I don't.
So Ed Martin's a St. Louisan, or at least a Missourian. He spent a lot of time of working with Phyllis Schlafly. And he has been nominated by Trump to fill this federal attorney position in Washington, D.C. And he was put in there temporarily to fill a temporary position. If Ed Martin, Donald Trump then made him the nominee for the actual position. There's a vacancy. He was the temp guy. If Ed Martin is not confirmed by the United States Senate to be the U.S. attorney for D.C., Judge Boasberg gets to fill that seat.
Okay, I have questions now.
They have until May 20th to confirm him. And there's a list of about 5 or 6 Republicans in the Senate who said they're not going to confirm Ed Martin.
What?
Will Chamberlain will explain at 125. But you can only imagine what having an Ed Martin type who's been very, very prominent and aggressive in pushing back on a lot of the crazy stuff that's been happening in those courts. Having him present there, he's Trump's pick. For the Republicans in the Senate to say no because it's a temporary position and there's a clock running out on it, to miss the boat and have Boasberg end up being able to, oh my gosh, you want to talk about setting the ends of the spectrum on how that U.S. attorney position could go? Whew! Will Chamberlain, who is a senior counsel at the Article 3 Project, will talk to us about that at 125. So you're going to keep it right here. About an hour from now, we'll get to the bottom of that. Let's take phone calls when we come back. And I want to know what you think about the future of America First. Can this version of the Republican Party exist past Donald Trump? And do you think J.D. Vance is the guy? Is it Marco Rubio? Maybe it's somebody else, or maybe you're voting Democrat and you really have an idea of who the Democrats should run in 2028. Let's discuss it on the phone. 314-241-9797. 314-241-9797 is the number to call. You can give us a ring and we'll spend about a minute with you and let you answer the YouTube live chat poll question with us on the phone lines. Get in line, 314-241-9797. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
ArtisticDecks.net, the affordable and dream deck for your home, is a phone call away at 314-280-0821, 314-280-0821. Artistic Decks is going to come to your home and help you develop a customized deck that is going to meet your needs when it comes to space, or if you need, different levels. Maybe you've got a walkout basement and you need to have that second level of deck to your house that opens up to something bigger on the bottom. Maybe you want to integrate some really smart products, whether it's treated lumber or some sort of PVC wood composite. Cedar Decks, they're insured. They've been in business for decades, and they're the best people to call to make sure that you can get that deck on your home to enjoy this year, this summer. 314-280-0821. 314-280-0821. Ask about their over 500 square foot discount. And if you book now, your deck will be built before summer really hits. 314-280-0821. ArtisticDecks.net.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
There's something new taking shape in downtown St. Louis. An experience unlike anything else in sports. From the hustle on the pitch to all the flags and smoke and 22,000 fans chanting STL in unison throughout Energizer Park. This is more than just a game. This is St. Louis City Soccer. Learn more at stlcitysc.com/tickets. and experience it now.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Talk lines are open now at 314-241-9797 or 866-455-9797.
I check my pockets, find old news in open boxes. How to clean out stain from carpet. Everybody smokes and steals from Target. Dog day afternoon.
This is one of those Ethan picks.
It has to be. It sounds like it's Gen Z made and branded.
Everyone smokes and steals from Target. What are we listening?
It's a funny line.
Gosh, I try so hard not to sound old on this show, but here I go. What does that say? Photo boy? Phono boy?
I don't know.
Just phone boy.
Phone boy. I can't. I'm reading it from a far away. What a coward. That's the name of the song.
Phone boy. What a coward.
The name is What a Coward.
Okay.
Yep.
Phone boy is a rock band.
The YouTube live chat poll: who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? Kristen Welker asked this question in this interview, and I do think it's a kind of an important question because they're using a lot of people right now to get the job done in the Trump administration. And by a lot of people, it's like a lot of prominent people who are doing a lot of things. If you're trying to pare back bureaucracy, it makes sense to me that you would have Marco Rubio wearing a few hats. But at the same time, it's like, is the Secretary of State have time to wear other hats? Apparently he does.
Well, the other reason that this is important to do, and I believe that this is why he's probably just putting certain people over a lot of things, is that after his first term, you go, well, I can trust this guy.
Yeah, it's all about trust.
I'm going to put him in charge of this because I don't really know these other people, but we'll give him a shot.
It's far too early to say that, but I do have a vice president, and typically it would be, and JD's doing a fantastic job.
He would be at the top of the list.
It could very well be. I don't want to get involved in that. I think he's a fantastic, brilliant guy. Marco is great. There's a lot of them that are great. I also see tremendous unity, but certainly you would say that somebody's the VP. If that person is outstanding, I guess that person would have an advantage. But I think the other people would all stay in unbelievably high positions. But, it could be that he'd be challenged by somebody. We have a lot of good people in this party.
So you've got the president there. I think the biggest story there is that he didn't just automatically say, it's JD Vance. What are you talking about? He's my vice president.
He's careful and he's smart. He knows that maybe in the next 4 years, JD Vance becomes a guy who wants to do something else or the public turns on him.
I wouldn't be surprised at all for a guy like JD Vance who has young children, 2 young children, I think, to be like, after 4 years, I don't want to miss my kid's entire childhood.
Be a great, stepping out of politics for a second, that'd be a great position to be in. I was just vice president for 4 years, and now I can do anything I want for the rest of my life.
Are there a lot of really successful vice presidents? I mean, George H.W. Bush was Reagan's, and he didn't get reelected, but he wasn't good enough. He lied to the American people. Read my lips. Al Gore, fail. Kamala Harris, fail. Cheney.
Mike Pence.
I guess he took a stab at it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was interested.
But that's a fail.
Yeah.
It's another fail.
It's just such a big fail that I forgot about it. Sorry, guy. I don't have a problem with Mike Pence.
Well, he just, in light of your examples, he's another one who, I'm going to give it the old college try. Whoops, fell flat like a banana.
Mike Pence is in the wrong decade.
Yeah. He's just an old-time Republican.
Old-timer.
Yeah. Not like phone boy.
I'm a coward. You have a big feeling about this poll?
I do. And I'm not going to do the obvious here and say, well, I'm voting Democrat.
Ryan. That's the obvious.
You're
not going to do the
joke.
obvious Ryan thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the joke Ryan thing.
Because
here.
the thing that you do is always to do the opposite of obvious.
Yes.
Because you think it's funny.
Yes. And everybody has a great time. We're all laughing.
You specifically think it's funny. Like
the whole
yesterday,
room's just rollicking.
Where you stuck with it for 3 hours that you were a big Kamala Harris supporter.
Yeah, but I had changed since the administration started.
Something persuaded you along these first 100 days. So you're like, you know what? I think I got that one wrong.
Yeah, I thought that was a great bit. And I think the public agreed.
They're all going, it was a bit.
Yeah, there were people tuning in.
I think people totally believe that you would vote for Kamala Harris.
Really? He voted for Kamala Harris? No, I'm not going to vote Democrat. I'm not going to even do that joke for this whole show. That's for you.
Thanks.
I am going to do another Republican. Because while I think J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are both solid picks right now, I do believe that after 4 years of Donald Trump, we will have gone through a lot of consternation, change. The country will be worn out.
It's not unlikely. I mean, you'd expect J.D. Vance to still be there, but at halfway through, the cabinet positions change.
Yes. So I think that we've got 4 years ahead that are going to be major transformational, changing American years. And I'm all in favor of that. Don't think that I'm saying, oh boy, that's going to be terrible. We've got to do that. Everything that has to happen.
That's what we voted for.
Exactly. So after those 4 years, I think we're all going to be in the mood, not necessarily for MAGA, but not for somebody who's completely different either. We just don't, at that point, the change will have happened. And we will be in the mood for somebody who can continue these good policies, but will give us all a breather. So I think it's going to be somebody who's a little bit off the map. Marco Rubio could be that guy. I'm not saying he can't. I don't know that J.D. Vance could, though.
I love J.D. Vance. I think he's perfectly cut out for vice president.
I do, too.
He's a great messenger. He's the younger, I don't want to say softer version of Trump. He's a little smoother than Trump, a little easier to consume. And I think it might just be the age thing because he and I think he's within 30 days younger than me. I think his birthday's coming up in May, but he's a 1984 kid as well, which is really weird to be like looking at people in those levels that are, I mean, I'm sure the majority of people listening right now have seen the president of the United States be older than them, their age, and then younger than them. And every time that happens, it's kind of like, oh, I remember watching athletes, professional athletes. Like if you see Adam Wainwright and he's being talked about this as this old guy and he's a couple years older than you, you're like, excuse me, what?
I think he's the same age as me.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was weird.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's talking about how old he is.
I get. Well, the other crazy thing is that this administration really has ushered in a lot of young people,
young
and
bright people.
That's great for the future of the party and the movement. Carolyn Levitt. I was just thinking about this last night. Carolyn Levitt just got her insurance reduced last year.
She's 27.
She's 27. I mean, that's impressive.
We're asking you on the Any Fry YouTube live chat poll to vote in this. I'd be really curious to anybody who is supporting J.D. Vance in this. I would like to know some details as to why, because it might just be that President Trump picked him as the VP, and that's enough. That's good enough for you to say, go ahead. Obviously, as Ryan pointed out, there's a lot of time between then and now. But I find it interesting that this far out of the race, which is almost as far as you could possibly be, because we are just still very fresh in this second term, that there isn't an understanding that Trump would have JD Vance's back completely. I also wonder if that means that he's not 100% sure that's what he wants to do. He wasn't running for president. He wasn't somebody who, right? He didn't run for president. He was in the Senate, kind of fresh to the Senate. And he's got a young family, beautiful family. And he gets chosen to be the vice presidential nominee on this ticket. Marco Rubio has run for president, was little Marco in the first iteration of Donald Trump coming into presidential politics. Was he the one who had little hands?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did Trump say that he had little hands, or did he say that Trump had little hands? I think he said Trump had little hands.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to go back and check that.
Yeah, it was the nail in the coffin for Marco Rubio's campaign, because that's not
right.
that's not
That's
who
not his
Marco
style.
Rubio is, and he was like, I'm going to try to beat Trump at his own game, and it's like, guess what? You can't. You simply can't. Brad, what do you think? 2028 presidential race.
Well, first of all, I really, really, really like JD Vance. I think one of the things that he has going for him is that in the previous presidential election, whenever he was vice president, I think that the media tried to make everything stick to him that they could. They called him weird. They called him all these other things. That's really the angle that they took on him, because they were champions of him the whole time. And it just slipped right off of him. And he was able to, especially in that debate, the debate moment was his like coming out party. This is who JD Vance is. He came off as likable. He came off as very, very personable. He came off as incredibly intelligent, really smart, and he is able to convey his message in a way that it, like you guys have been saying, is very palatable to the average American. I think that he has a really, really strong case, and without coming up with a name for another Republican, I think I would vote JD Vance right now. And the reason I wouldn't vote Marco Rubio is I think Marco Rubio still has a little bit of that worry about him being an establishment Republican. And
Who worries about Marco Rubio being an establishment Republican? He's got the most jobs in this administration.
Yes, I agree with you on that, but I think that there is a group of people on the right that are very much still he's a rhino. And it's a small percentage.
Who are these people?
Who are they? Name names, Brad.
I don't know their names.
What are their names, Brad?
Alphabetically, please.
Yeah.
Well, first, my uncle.
I think on Twitter they usually have like an American flag and an eagle and all sorts of stuff in their handle, and it's not a real name.
Wait, those are the people who do like him or don't like him?
That don't. I think that there are people on the extreme right that are still like he's not
leery of him.
He's not MAGA enough. Now,
is there anything about Marco Rubio that is establishment?
Not really in policy or anything. I haven't seen anything. He plays the game smartly.
Darn.
But that doesn't mean he's
aw shucks.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's a swamp guy though.
No, and I think the longer he serves in the position, I think the more that will fade off of him. I think that it's gone away a lot, even in the first 100 days of this administration. I think people are seeing him for who he is.
I mean, good grief, JD Vance called Trump Hitler.
Yes.
So
yeah, they got over that.
To be like, in 2014, he was a member of the Gang of Eight and blah, 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 blah. The Gang of Eight proposition that was put together would be a very serviceable and palatable immigration policy in 2025, I would add.
My biggest thing against him is that in 2014, he was part of the Gang of Eight.
Okay. I'm a Marco Rubio person.
Yes.
As you can tell, a little sensitive.
I actually thought in the 2016 primary that he was the best choice.
So did I. Voted for him.
Yeah, you did. I think I voted for Cruz because by the time we got to Illinois,
when I voted for Marco Rubio, he had already said he was out
done,
of the
right?
race, but I was so like, I still want him to have my vote.
I just didn't, in 2016, I didn't understand who Donald Trump was yet. I liked him.
I didn't.
But I just wasn't sure. He still had a lot of Democrat bona fides behind him. And I'm like, not sure.
Well, there's no proof in the pudding.
Thank you.
You're welcome. To know that he would do the things he said he was going to do. So it seemed like he would go in there especially with the way he was painted, the way Donald Trump was painted was that he was going to have, his rich buddies and he wasn't going to do what was good for the American people. He was going to do what was good for him. And he's saying these conservative things. I remember when he said I think it was 2 Corinthians. He was reading a Bible passage. He said 2 Corinthians. There just wasn't anything about him that I felt connected to. And I reluctantly voted for Donald Trump in the first election that he ran in 2016, because I had enough sense about me to know that Hillary Clinton having Supreme Court justice nominations within her purview would be an absolute disaster for the United States. So voting for Donald Trump was obviously the most Republican, conservative, meaningful thing that I could do as a voter. And where I was, like, I was very heavily in the verify portion of trust but verify. I was like in the bottom of the 9th, like, okay, fine, I'll trust. But you better prove yourself. And I've said this many times. I was doing my Saturday show, 5 to 7 on Saturday, when this whole election was going on. And he's proven me not so much wrong, but my skepticism, everybody should have a healthy skepticism of the people who are like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you're like, okay, sure you are. He so far outkicked what he said he was going to do. He proved to be an actual, in practice, conservative that was truly there for the American people, like me. And I was able to, just like millions of other Americans, watch him make good on what he said, do even better than what he said. And all you need to do is look at the numbers. Look at how many people voted for him in the primaries. Look at how many people voted for him in 2016. Look at how many people voted for him in 2020. And look at how many people voted for him in 2024. In the midst of the most negative coverage that a politician has ever faced, bullets, lies, hoaxes, he has managed to increase his vote total every time he ran. He had me probably 3 months into his 2016 term, like, I can't believe this. This is great. And now it's like, how do we preserve this well beyond the name Donald Trump, well beyond the phrase MAGA? It's America first to me. Because America first doesn't mean America alone. We've heard that from the economic folks in the cabinet. We've heard that from other people who are connected to the administration. America first does not mean America alone. But if you put America last, then you can't do anything for the people you're sucking dry of taxpayer dollars to not protect on your own actual borders and sticking us in the midst, either economically or, God forbid, boots on the ground wars that don't actually involve us. You're threatening the safety and security of Americans and our sons and daughters for some sort of bureaucratic government bloat to perpetuate something that doesn't actually benefit us. Scrap all of that. America first, America first, America first. Donald Trump has given that back to us. It was ours to begin with. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, but we are so amazingly blessed in the United States of America that when things get really, really good, like Donald Trump had the economy going in his first term, we are so blessed and spoiled in this country that we can dabble in socialism because we think everybody should have an equal share. You can't have the blessings and the riches of what we have when our economy is on fire and socialism. Incompatible. Donald Trump knows that. And he's actually, in practice, putting America first and making America great again. But we got to figure out in due time who continues this. It can't be just for the next 4 years. It's got to be something that generations of people are able to watch what this president is doing, adhere to it, and then protect it. We have to protect it. We have to protect our country from the power-hungry government elected officials who want to put it back to the way it was before Donald Trump restored it. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? Trump gave us 2 names, JD Vance and Marco Rubio, but said, he's got great people So maybe it's another Republican or you're voting Democrat. We got a little bit for everybody in today's YouTube live chat poll. Go vote. When we come back, Wiggins America on
The best of Phone Boy.
No, it's not.
This is ways to know if a woman likes you and is flirting with you. This is,
it's about time at 52 that you figured this out.
No. You're going to know a lot more after this segment. And Annie's going to confirm all of it.
Or deny. We'll be right back. Why is there fire?
Take me back to all the places.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
AirComfortService.com is there for your residential needs. Of course, I've talked about being a customer of Air Comfort Services multi times over. My house is probably 24, 25 years old or something like that. That is an unfortunate time when you have to replace everything. Air Comfort Service, they probably have my address very, very memorized by now. Let's talk about their commercial side as well. If you have commercial repairs in store, if you are a building manager, maybe you're an office manager, maybe you've heard recently that the HVAC system is in need of repair, Air Comfort Service can help you with that as well. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. You can call Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Get a free second opinion on heat exchanger or compressor repairs. They have provided residential and commercial heating and cooling services for 55 plus years. They know what they're doing and they can help you. If you're looking at a steep repair bill, if you're questioning a quoted repair that you've already received, Air Comfort Service is there to help you. Just find them online at aircomfortservice.com.
This could be the number 1 tax saving strategy for your retirement savings, and it's hidden inside IRS tax code section 1.408A-4. Discover what it is and how you can make your money go further in retirement in a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. Hey, it's Sue Thomas, and this is a one-night class. It's taught by advisors from financial and tax architects. They have decades of financial planning experience, and they hold these at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis, and you'll learn about reducing your taxes, maximizing Social Security, paying for health care, and more. And they do it for free, but bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a few openings left for classes this month, so register now by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
The YouTube live chat poll, we've been talking about it this hour. Who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? We gave you a couple options because that's what Trump said. J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or another Republican, or you're voting Democrat. Those are your options today for the YouTube live chat poll. It is 12:48. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Tuesday afternoon, Mike Elam hosting The Mark Reardon Show. We'll be having telephone Tuesday at 4:25, so be sure to get those calls in.
The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays from 3 to 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I got a woman way over town. That's good.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
Oh, yeah.
Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Way over town. Good to me. Oh, yeah. She give me money when I'm in need.
Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins.
Is that remake the best thing that Kanye ever did?
I think so. That was his biggest song, wasn't it?
Gosh, it'd be hard to beat. I don't know. Not really a Kanye aficionado. He's nuts.
I don't know him after he was Ye. When he was Kanye, I knew a little bit. Now that he's Ye, don't know much about him.
Well, he's nuts.
He says
Gold
a lot
Digger.
of big things on Twitter.
Gold Digger was the name of the remake.
Yes. All right. These are ways that women flirt with you.
Yeah.
And I want to see whether or not you agree with these.
What's your source?
Marriage.com.
That'll play.
See? Right? Either it's a big organization or some guy was like, ooh, marriage.com. That sounds really good in 1995.
That's available.
Yeah, so he just bought it and he puts this stuff out. I don't know. The first one is if a woman has prolonged and intense eye contact with you.
Creepy.
Now, I want to make this caveat first that yesterday Annie had intense and prolonged eye contact with all of us.
No, I didn't. No, I
but
didn't.
it was because
it was
she
not eye
mad.
contact.
No.
Two
It was a
people.
stare.
Two people needed to be involved.
Yeah, that's true.
You
I was
didn't-
looking away.
You wouldn't look at me. You protested looking at me, and I wouldn't have looked at you long if you would have just looked at my eyes to see that I meant business.
I did a couple times, and I was like, "Oh, she's still doing it." Look at Brad.
Right.
I was saying, "Look at me," like
Yeah, you were.
Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, as a parent, Ethan, you just like trying to get things ready to go. You're trying, the business needs to happen. Kids are not agreeing, and you're trying to make a point. It's usually when they're middle school or older, and they're doing their middle school thing. I don't know if your kids are at this place yet, but they won't look at you. And you're like, look at me. And it always sounds like Batman. And then I lose my edge. Look at me.
Swear to me.
Is that a way women
That's
flirt?
how I flirt.
That's how you flirt. With eye contact?
Look at
or
me.
yelling.
It's like, I think she likes me.
She's really intense. She's wearing a giant cape and a utility belt.
What's with the pointy ears?
She might be Elvin. Okay, since we have no consensus on that one. Number 2 is the hair flip is a strong signal.
What's the author's name? It's a dude, isn't it?
No idea. It's JohnnyMarriage.com.
It's not JohnnyMarriage.com.
I don't know. Actually.
You don't know the author?
I don't know the
I
author's name.
don't even care what the author's name is. I want to know if this was a dude. Because if a dude's like, if she flips her hair, you know you're in.
Well, that's why we're asking you.
What's the explanation
Is it true
even
or
on
not?
that one?
I don't know.
Ryan?
Don't know that.
It's a guy. Oh wait, no, it's both. It's a girl and a guy.
So they took turns, and number
Yeah.
1 was written by a woman, and number 2 was written by a man.
The author is Rachel Pace.
Okay.
But it was reviewed by Grady Shumway.
That's chauvinistic. What kind of patriarchy is this?
This is marriage.com.
Yeah, it's
This is
marriage.com.
how women flirt with men. Well, I'll see about that. Look at me.
Yeah, it was reviewed by Grady Shumway, LMHC.
You don't have the hair flip in here. You
No
gotta
idea
add
what that means. Licensed mental health counselor, LMHC.
Hair flip.
He's like, let me take a look at this. No, I guess that's not true then. If a girl does a hair flip, she's just like, get away. Don't like you, according to Annie.
Maybe her hair is just not where she wants it to be.
Maybe she needs to flip it around a little bit for some fun. She doesn't care about you. She's just flipping her hair because it's fun to do in the wind.
Yeah.
Number 3,
Well said.
blushing, broad smiles, and laughs.
Broad smiles, that's just by women, right?
Mhm. Yeah, guys can't do that. Broad smiles from your lady.
Hey, guys.
She's flirting with you right now. She's looking right at the camera. Soak it in.
I'm flipping my hair, even though it's in a ponytail.
You can't even do these things today. You did not come prepared for this. Next
No,
one.
for flirting, no, definitely did not come to work prepared to flirt with you three.
Okay, how about those? Those seem real typical. But how about
What
this
was the
one?
last one?
It was all the smiles,
Blushing
and laughing, merriment.
I will say that if a female wants to flirt with male, she will laugh at his jokes regardless of how funny they are.
That kind of sucks. Looking for
You'll
an
never
audience.
know. You'll never know.
Looking for an audience, not just a wife.
You'll never know.
Number
Now,
4.
one of those kind of sounds like a hostage now. Go on.
Number 4. Pretending to avoid someone.
Yeah, it's just hard
Playing
to
a little
get.
hard to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a yes. That's your first yes.
Yeah, but you would have to know that there is some level of interest from the male. And the hard part about that is that there is absolutely a thing with dudes where they just want to see if they could get her.
Yeah.
They're not actually interested in what happens after they find out that they could get her. So you have to be smart as a female to understand the difference between a guy who's trying to figure out if they could land a date with you or whatever, versus a guy who's actually interested in dating you.
Let me ask the guys in the room. If it says if a girl is highly interested in you, she would maybe try to hide it from you. Is that preferable? Or would you like her to just let you know?
I think Brad wants terms written down on paper.
I do.
And signed.
Why can't we just keep it simple?
That's
what I want.
That's what I would figure.
You don't want that.
But
you don't want that.
I don't know
Yeah,
that I
I
actually
do.
want
No, you
that
don't.
either.
I do want that.
You don't want that.
The pursuit is a good thing. I like the pursuit.
To a certain extent, but then it gets so cloudy and fogged up sometimes to where
It does,
the
yeah.
intention of, do girls actually want that, or are they, oh no, never mind. I just wanted to be friends. Like the intentions get really foggy, I feel like sometimes.
But is that beyond the fact that knowing that at least there's mutual interest? The question is how serious?
Yeah.
Mutual interest. I feel like this flirting happens with trying to determine mutual interest. After that, there's a lot of factors that come in that can make things cloudy.
I pursued girls for quite a while in high school who had no interest, not even in a friendship. And I would find that out later, and that's why it was tough.
Did they flip their hair around you?
I don't know. They might have just been having fun in the wind. All right.
It's just outside and it's
Life
breezy,
was pretty boring
that
inside,
chick
though.
is into me.
That girl must love me. Look at what the wind's doing to her.
Even the wind knows.
That's God right there. Number 6, mimicking your likes and dislikes.
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So if he's into grilling bratwurst and watching anime, you're like, that's what I like.
I would draw a line, but
Professional wrestling. Amateur professional wrestling.
it's not about all of the interest and disinterest. It's about finding the one that you can suffer through.
Okay.
So if it's sports and a girl's not really into sports, they're not going to like start reading out stat lines from memory, but they'll figure out a cool way to carry a conversation about said sport or interest level.
So you'd be like, oh, okay, I'll ride a tandem bike with you. That'd be fun. Like,
Yeah, I know how many boys are like, are you in tandem bikes?
in biking. You love biking, don't you? I'm going to
What are
get
your
you.
thoughts on double mint gum?
Hate it. Don't like gum chewing at all.
Last one. Touching during conversations. Maybe
Yeah.
even just light touching.
Like laughing, like, and kind of like touching
That's the most
their knee
obvious.
or their shoulder.
Physical contact.
Yeah, any physical contact. I always feel bad though, because if I ever like pat somebody on the back, I'm like, I'm not flirting with you. I was just giving you encouragement.
Ryan, do you ever try
That's
to
what they're
say?
saying when they're flipping their hair.
Do you ever try to say something that was intentionally wasn't funny to try and see if they'll laugh or they'll touch your shoulder?
That's a whole nother segment.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, I absolutely
You
would
have.
try to push girls away just to see. But then I'd also try to draw them in other situations.
Oh, I want him to come straight
Friday's
out with
coming.
it and be really direct with me, so we just know. Barf.
That's what Ethan said.
Oh yeah,
I didn't say that.
That's
Whoa.
true. That is true. You said no. I'm not into that at all. And
Right.
So you were consistent.
I like the game.
Jim Talent next. Don't go away.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches in my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said, I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around this store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting and the pain instantly, literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan are a phone call, even a text message away. This number goes directly to Stewie, 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. That's how you connect yourself with a brilliant move of acquiring a bagel loan. Your mortgage, whether it's a new mortgage on a new home purchase or the one you have right now that you use the bagel loan to refinance, $0 in closing costs when you go through Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. And the bagel loan is only available with Stewie. at Stewart's American Mortgage. You can get a less than 2-week close. You can qualify for the low rates that you'd get anywhere else. You can get those with Stewie as well. Get those pre-approval letters. Once you have been pre-approved, you can generate those letters from home. You can print them out yourself. You don't have to go through a third party, so you're not waiting on extra people if you want to get an offer in on a home and to complete that purchase. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Call my friend Stewie. You can Google the Bagel Loan and MLS number 226-715.
KFTK FM Florissant.
An Odyssey station.
President Trump stops short of calling it a deal. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. But he says U.S. airstrikes on Houthi rebels are ending.
President Trump says the Houthis, a terrorist organization based in Yemen, want an end to the U.S. bombing campaign.
And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the military operation was about freedom of navigation and to get attacks on commercial ships in the Red Sea to stop. Relentless U.S. airstrikes began in March. President Trump is set to visit the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia, next week.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The president's comments coming during his first face-to-face meeting with Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney, who won an election last week, in part by pushing back on Trump tariffs and rhetoric about Canada becoming the 51st state.
Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state.
President Trump's response was never say never, but the Oval Office visit remained civil, with each leader praising the other, emphasizing friendship and a partnership. President Trump again defending his tariff strategy as talks with multiple countries continue.
Think of us as a super luxury store, a store that has the goods. You're going to come and you're going to pay a price.
He says not every country will be signing a trade deal. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi just announcing a record seizure of fentanyl in a multi-agency operation targeting the Sinaloa cartel. 6 of the drug trafficking suspects living in the U.S. illegally.
They are flooding our cities with a weapon of mass destruction. Fentanyl.
Bondi says among the drugs seized were 3 million pills laced with fentanyl, but labeled as prescription painkiller oxycodone. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
They told us nothing but lies.
These timeshare thieves out there are terrible.
They bullied us.
Our timeshare is all a scam.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
I was completely taken advantage of.
Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder and CEO of Wesley Financial Group, and I know the tough spot you're in. Are you asking yourself, why did I buy that timeshare? I'll tell you why, because that presentation wasn't a normal sales pitch. It was a show to convince you that timeshare is a great investment. They told you it was available today and today only. They said you're foolish if you don't buy, and unfortunately, you believed them. We get over 3,000 complaints a week from folks just like you that were misled into buying a timeshare. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242. 800-881-4242.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
It's a pretty nice Tuesday afternoon, weather-wise, with sunshine in control. I think we'll top out at about 73 degrees. The evening is quite pleasant, right around 70. And then tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies return, 54. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. Couple of scattered showers, but no all-day rain, 69. Same story Thursday. Thursday's high, 75. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Their certified technicians repair all brands of doors and openers, and you can even schedule evening and weekend service. Just call 314-781-5200 and always look for the red ribbon. It's your assurance you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door, the most trusted garage door company in St. Louis since 1926. For same-day service, schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com. 314-781-5200.
Mizzou football is here to stay. After an undefeated home season and a second straight 10-win year, the Tigers are looking for more in 2025.
Eli and the boys have done it again.
With a top 10 transfer portal class and a strong home schedule highlighted by Kansas, conferences, Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas A&M, you don't want to miss out. Get your spot in line by joining the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
I'm Ultima Morgan. Every year, almost 30,000 babies in America are born with birth injuries. It's every parent's worst nightmare. If your child suffered a birth injury, please call our firm to find out if we can help.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, May 20th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here are Bob and Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and worried about the market volatility and losses at this stage in your life? Would you like to learn why linking to the market is much safer than owning the market?
Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your market gains every year without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg from any future losses? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg and join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, at the Frontenac Hilton on Tuesday, May 20th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person. As we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. We handle it with great love and 24 karat gold. That always helps too. Right?
So President Trump sitting next to the Prime Minister of Canada, the new Prime Minister of Canada, Carney, in the Oval Office, and watching as he is welcoming the prime minister there. It's interesting to watch the prime minister. He just kind of looks at him. He's respectful. He's not super agreeable. He doesn't look to me like he is ready to crawl in Donald Trump's lap and do what he's told. But that certainly wasn't the way that election went in Canada. What does this mean going forward? Donald Trump has certainly talked about the 51st state in Canada, called Justin Trudeau governor many times. A lot of folks didn't really appreciate the way the president was speaking about Canada. And the question is always, is he joking or is he serious? And when you can't tell, Donald Trump usually rides that out for quite some time. So he sits with the Canadian Prime Minister right now in the White House, and they are making deals. And we have our friend, former United States Senator Jim Talent on with us right now. He is also the chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council. Senator, thank you for the time today. It's good to have you back.
Thank you, Annie. It's always good to be on.
Well, I appreciate that. When you're watching Canada visit the White House in their new prime minister, do you have hopes? Are you hopeful for anything to come out of this meeting between these two gentlemen?
Well, I'm expecting a favorable adjustment in American-Canadian relationships, and I don't think that'll be completely done with this one meeting. But the Canadians need the American export market, and I think there might well have been an adjustment before now, except that Carney's party, the Liberals, very effectively used this issue to help them win the election. Now that the election's over, I kind of expect them to get down to business.
So all of the rhetoric from the president of the United States about the 51st state, and, you know, he speaks what seems to be at least somewhat seriously about annexing Canada into our country. When you hear all that, is there any part of that that you think is seriously intended?
No, I mean, I really don't. And my guess is, I don't know, you know what, I shouldn't guess on what the president was thinking then or is thinking now. I think the discussions about Greenland are much more serious because that's based on a really, I think, a correct evaluation of the situation. Greenland's very strategic. You didn't ask about Greenland, but it's strategically located, has some really important critical minerals. Denmark's not capable of defending it or helping it prosper, and we are. It makes a lot of sense going forward, but with Canada, no. You know, I think the president is authentic and spontaneous, which is all to the good, but sometimes not so good, because I think in this instance he gave the Liberals, who in my opinion, I mean, have misgoverned Canada, he gave them an election issue. But now that it's over, I would expect, as I said, them to get down to business.
What can you tell us about the Prime Minister from Canada? He's new. He's not Justin Trudeau. That's what people are pretty familiar with here in the United States, of course, in Canada as well. What do you know about Carney?
Well, I mean, he's an international financial leader. I would hope that he would be a little bit more practical than Trudeau was, particularly at the end. I just think Canadians were fed up with Trudeau, and I think they probably still are. That's the other reason the election changed, is they got rid of him and switched off to Carney. And I would think Carney understands international trade. I would hope relationships can improve. And, you know, the Canadians have to decide for themselves how they want to be governed. But, you know, I would think he's a person that President Trump can make a deal with.
Senator Talent, this is Ryan Wiggins. What you kind of reset for us? What exactly is Trump trying to get out of these meetings or out of Canada right now? And then what is Mark Carney's job to try to negotiate? What is it centered on right now?
Canada has a lot of, even in a world where a lot of countries are protectionist, they have a lot of uniquely protectionist regimes in place. For example, their dairy market is basically a closed cartel. I mean, you really can't buy dairy products. You have to buy like allotments. It's all designed to protect their farmers and their existing processing system, and that's very unfair to us. There are other areas as well where they've closed us off, and this is classic. It's one of the reasons the administration is doing what it's doing. That other countries not only have higher tariff levels, but have other non-tariff barriers to trade, and at the same time, we basically don't. And so they have access to our market. We don't have access to theirs. And it's not fair. I mean, the idea of reciprocity in trade has been around for a long time now. Trump administration is the only one that's really vigorously pursuing it. But I never thought, even when I was in office, I never thought it made sense that, you know, the Europeans impose almost a 10% tariff on our cars, and we basically have none on theirs. So there's a lot that can be done in this area, and Trump recognizes that other countries need our market, generally speaking, more than we need theirs.
There's another Canada question for you, a little bit different topic within Canada, though. Alberta is changing the way that it goes about getting a referendum to secede from Canada, apparently. Yeah. That's interesting. Is there any reality that actually could happen, that Alberta would leave Canada?
I wouldn't think so. There are tensions within their system, just as there are within ours. But I've probably been too critical already of an allied government. But I mean, the Liberal government not only governed irresponsibly from a financial tax situation, the rest of it, but took took highly coercive stances on controversial things, like, what they did with the truckers convoy, for example, and still doing, and then debanking average Canadians because they didn't like their extremely oppressive COVID policies. And they've gone in even heavier than our, elites have for some of these esoteric issues like the transgender issue and the rest of it. And it's causing a lot of disdain among Canadians outside of the major cities who don't like it. And there's a lot of tension. And I would hope that Carney would take, he's not going to wholesale abandon his party's position, but I would hope he'd take a more practical attitude towards this because, we need a Canada that is growing, a Canada that's a partner on security issues for us. They've allowed their defenses to atrophy. That's true of all the Western allies, including us to some degree. And it would be nice if they fixed that as well.
We're speaking with former United States Senator Jim Talent, chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council as well. From this meeting that took place with the Prime Minister and Donald Trump, of course, the press was in there, and the president teased a, quote, very, very big announcement, and then went on to say, quote, we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what, and it's very positive. And I thought maybe you might have some sort of speculation, maybe on the area of the world, if he's going to be going to Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar. What could we possibly be seeing from this administration?
Well, I can't resist taking a wild guess, and I will in a minute. I will say it's unfortunate that I missed my morning call with the president today. He usually phones me to discuss the day's business and get my opinion on it. He is going to the Middle East for the first time in mid-May, I believe on the 13th. And they're working out the details now. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia and in Qatar. And that's going to be an economically oriented trip. And I doubt it's what he's referring to because that's still, about a week off or more than that. And it sounds like this announcement's more imminent. But I think he's going to announce there an awful lot of investment in the United States, in the American industrial base, in technology development. It's very much in the interest of both countries to do that. And he's been very aggressive. If you look at his executive orders on this, they're really making it easier for other countries to invest in the United States. They're dead serious about onshoring these jobs and using the momentum of it to rebuild the industrial base. And I just applaud every measure to that effect. We have learned a bitter lesson in the last 20 years that when you give away too much of your manufacturing, not only do people lose jobs, and then they're in a position where they can't get as good a ones in the service sector, but you also undermine everything else about your economy. Because if you can't make things, your people are less secure and you can't scale the ideas you come up with. And over time, you lose the ability to come up with ideas.
Senator Talent, I want to ask a little bit more about that particular topic because we talk about tariffs, generally speaking, in the category of economic issues for the country. And the Trump administration's focus on reinvigorating the American economy is largely based on DOGE, making the tax cuts permanent, and his tariff strategy. But what I hear you saying is that the tariffs are going to create a system of a system in the United States that might actually make us a more safe and secure country as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a security component to sustaining your manufacturing base, particularly when we're living in a world with China in it, because you lose the ability, and they target this. They're very deliberate, China, about what they're doing. They're trying to control key sectors of the economy of the future. So, here's one example. So they subsidize their pharmacy manufacturers and they undercut, therefore, our pharmaceutical producers. And so our pharmaceutical producers end up buying the generics, at least the generics from China. And pretty soon we can't produce drugs anymore. And even the Department of Defense, for its service members, relies on pharmaceuticals, many of which source from China, or precursors at least, which only China produces. Same thing with critical minerals. There's a lot of areas that the Chinese are trying to control. And so, yes, it's a national security issue. And then it's also a question of your general ability of the economy to produce over time, because, I mean, semiconductors are another example, of course. Now, that's in Taiwan. But we can't produce the chips we need. If the balloon should go up over Taiwan, we're going to run out of chips pretty quickly. So the administration is trying to rebuild that. Biden did some things in that area as well. The CHIPS Act, for example, was aimed at that. You'll see some bipartisan support for this going forward, I think, once we get past the reconciliation process.
Last quick question before we let you go. We're speaking with Senator Jim Talent. The president has so many different things from a foreign policy standpoint moving at the same time. Is he doing a good job? Is there any area that you think he needs to be paying more attention?
Yeah, I'd say he's doing a very good job. We could talk about the Middle East for half an hour. He has a real instinct for that area. I think he understands it. I think they understand him. The tough nut, Annie, is going to be to get it to an agreement in Ukraine. And I've been saying this for months and months. A lot of focus on how we relate to Zelensky in Ukraine, but the real issue is getting Putin to the table. He is gradually winning on the battlefield. He doesn't care about the casualties, which is terrible, but it's true. Having a war enables him to avoid confronting some domestic issues. That's a plus for him. And he knows that we want to end the war, and so he's bargaining very hard, and the issue is how to get him to the table. And I'm looking to see what leverage points the administration has and is willing to use. They could expand the sanctions on Russian banks, cut them off from the SWIFT system, the currency system, expand the sanctions on their oil exports, or step up military aid to Ukraine. Now, I don't think the president wants to do any of those things, but I kind of think he's going to have to if he wants to get Putin to the table to talk seriously. I mean, we can kind of make the Ukrainians accept the deal that is less than they want. The president's not going to try and make them give up their sovereignty or their right to defend themselves in the future, or let Putin have the entire 25% of the eastern part of the country that he wants. And so he's going to have to get Putin to moderate. And I'm still looking to see how he's going to do that.
Well, he's doing a lot, and we're hoping that he's got the teams that are working day and night. We speak to some of them here on the Annie Fry Show as well to try to bring all of these things to a conclusion, a positive conclusion for everybody involved. Senator Talent, right. Your expertise is always valued here. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
We'll talk to you again. Bye-bye. Former United States Senator from Missouri, chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council as well, former senator from Missouri, Jim Talent. When we return, we're going to speak with Will Chamberlain. Of course, he's a senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. You can go to article3project.org to learn more about that. We're going to talk to him about that Ed Martin nomination as a U.S. attorney in D.C. and the Republican senators who have said, no, we're not supporting it. We're not gonna vote to confirm here. What happens if the Republicans in the Senate cannot come to the conclusion to confirm Ed Martin? Remember the name Justice Boasberg or Judge Boasberg? Excuse me. Whoa, Judge Boasberg. You remember that name? Well, Boasberg gets to appoint the fill-in for Ed Martin if the Republicans in the Senate can't get the work done. Will Chamberlain, with us next to discuss. Don't go away.
Sometime let the heat cool off. We could do with some dancing. Didn't take long, just a couple of songs. You know it's last call when the law comes walking in. So
you're listening to the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Felt so good. Didn't want to answer, we went rocking to the radio, fogging up the windows, headlights off in a spot nobody else does.
Rulerfoods.com we're celebrating senior citizens Wednesday, May 7th. at Ruler Foods. So if you are somebody who qualifies as a senior citizen, you can save an extra 5% at Ruler Foods. It's a grocery chain that is announcing a senior discount day, and we want you to be aware of it here on the Annie Fry Show. Prices are continuing to go up. Senior citizens certainly are feeling the pinch, many on a fixed income. Ruler Foods understands this, and they are there to help you out. How about a 5% discount? Individuals aged 55 and older. Oh, Ryan, congratulations. 55 and older will be eligible.
You're in the middle of a live. I can't even respond.
You know what? If you got to save 5% your next time at Ruler Foods, I think you're embracing 55.
Oh, actually, yes.
Yeah, I think
Now
I
that
got
you say
you.
it that way.
Individuals age 55 and older will be eligible for an in-store discount of 5% off their total purchase. To receive the discount, you just need to simply ask for the senior discount at checkout on May 7th. That's taking place tomorrow. So be sure to find the Ruler Foods that's closest to you or most conveniently located to where you will be on Wednesday, May 7th, to enjoy the senior citizens 5% discount at Ruler Foods. Check out the details online at rulerfoods.com.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
This is attorney Todd Nissenholtz of Kaufman Townsley. Injured by a careless driver? We work with the top doctors in St. Louis. We'll help you get the expert medical care you need and the maximum amount of money you deserve. Call 314-500-5000.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for New Perspective Senior Living, where your loved one will enjoy chef-prepared meals, engaging activities, state-of-the-art technology, and a welcoming community that feels like home. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. New Perspective, where every day is a chance to live life on purpose.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is coming back to St. Louis on May 7th. Join us at Energizer Park for the round of 32 as St. Louis City SC hosts Union Omaha and plays for the historic trophy. Get tickets now at stlcitysc.com/Open Cup.
St. Louis homeowners, are you thinking about upsizing, downsizing, or relocating this year? Hey, it's Mark Cox. When life happens and you need to sell your home, I recommend you talk to my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands every seller situation is unique. That's why she has created custom programs to fit every home seller's needs. Many people move out of necessity, like for a new job or financial challenges. That's why Gloria created her guaranteed multiple cash offer program, giving you up to 6 of the best offers with at least one at 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference. Plus, you sell faster. Gloria did this for the Miller family in Clayton and got them more money than they were expecting and within their time frame. She did it for them. She can do it for you. Get your offers today by calling Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888 or visit gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/news. That's ethos.com/news.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Oxytocin making it all okay. When I come back down, it doesn't feel the same.
Ed Martin's confirmation, Ed Martin doing a great job as U.S. Attorney. How can we help? We go to Article 3. How can we help push this one over the goal line?
Yeah, so Ed Martin is fulfilling President Trump's electoral promise to make D.C. safe again. Ed Martin is focusing like a laser beam on D.C. street crimes, making America's capital safe for Americans to visit again. So it's not Mogadishu like it's been under the Biden regime. So go to Article 3 Project, article3project.org, take action, and contact both of your home state senators, and then tell them to support the confirmation of Ed Martin for the D.C. U.S. Attorney. Let's make D.C. safe again, and Ed Martin will do that.
Well, it seems like it'd be pretty easy to just go ahead and do what Mike Davis was saying there to Steve Bannon on War Room, but it's not that easy. And you'd think with a Republican majority of a few extra seats in the Senate that you'd be able to get a confirmation like that through for Ed Martin, but it just doesn't seem to be that easy. Let's get our next guest on with us. Excited to have Will Chamberlain back with us, also from the Article 3 Project. He's a senior counsel there. Thank you for being with us here today, Will, to talk about this. The stakes are confirmation that doesn't seem to be...
Did I lose you?
I can still hear you. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. Sorry. I think we just had a momentary break.
That happens. That's okay. The Ed Martin confirmation is not an easy one. That's the Trump pick, as I understand it, for this U.S. attorney position in D.C. But the stakes are pretty high if the Senate doesn't make a confirmation by the deadline that is looming. What can you tell us about this position?
Yeah, if the Senate doesn't make a confirmation by the deadline, then it's going to be the chief judge of, I think, the D.C. District Court who makes the appointment, which would not be favorable because the chief judge of the D.C. District Court, I think, is James Boasberg. Right. So unless you don't want James Boasberg to be appointing the U.S. attorney in D.C., then it needs to be Ed Martin. And so I think, this is actually quite important. Ed would be an excellent choice. He's done an excellent job so far. Crime is down in D.C., and it's the Senate who should just be letting him do his job and get to work. What
is it about Ed Martin that is not favorable for this handful of senators, these Republican senators? Tom Tillis, I heard Thune's name included in there. Of course, Mitch McConnell among a few others, maybe Collins. Why this fight to put up against Ed Martin?
I mean, it sounds like Tillis is upset about some of the things Ed Martin said about January 6th, but they're very much in line with what President Trump has said about January 6th. I don't see how Tillis can consistently say that, these things are a deal breaker and yet pretend to be a, prominent supporter of President Trump. Ed Martin was one of the many people defending J6ers from prosecutions that we now know the Supreme Court thinks were pretty unjust. Remember that the J6ers won on a major case that was the big top line felony that many of them were indicted of. So I think Tillis is totally in the wrong here. I'm not impressed by his posturing. He was so aggressively for Kash Patel, and then all of a sudden when we need him on the DC U.S. attorney, he's not there for us. He's just a very flaky friend. And, somebody who actually is a North Carolina resident, he's going to be hearing from me about this for sure.
What kind of impact can voters right now, people who support President Trump and support his picks getting through for something like this? You're saying you're going to contact your senator. Does that make a difference?
Yes, and we actually make it very easy at the Article 3 Project to contact your senators. So I would go to the website is a3paction.com, a3paction.com. If you go to that website, you can click on any number of causes which we have going that will enable you to contact your senator. And trust me that senators listen to what their constituents say. And, especially when they get direct communications, they may not necessarily pay attention to the hubbub on social media, but they certainly pay attention to the direct messages they get from constituents. So this makes it with a couple of clicks, 30 seconds, you can easily email your senator. And I urge you all to do so.
Yeah, I think it's so great that the Article 3 project, of course, you have thoughts on any particular illegal issues that are being discussed on a national level, even on some local levels as well. But you make it very simple for people to contact those individuals and have that direct communication. So again, follow that website that Will just gave you there. Can you break it down on a super basic level right now? We're talking about Ed Martin, who is very familiar with the area that we're on. He worked with Phyllis Schlafly quite a bit, and that all kind of came out of St. Louis. So we're familiar with the Ed Martin name here. As U.S. Attorney in D.C., can you give us just kind of like a job description of what Ed Martin would be entrusted to do should he be confirmed in this position?
Well, he's in charge of all the prosecutions in that city and all the federal prosecutions. They'd have to he'd need to sign off on them. And he'd be managing all the assistant U.S. attorneys in D.C. So, people have talked about a lot of the crimes they believe that have been committed by Democrat operatives and Democrat politicians and various officials in the previous administration, and they're upset about that. They want to see indictments. Well, the guy who would sign off on those indictments is the U.S. Attorney for D.C., and Ed Martin is aggressive and has been on board with Trump and the MAGA agenda from day one. He's the guy you want to be making that call. So, because I've heard a lot about that. I think there's a lot of people I've heard being frustrated with the pace of indictments and FBI investigations and all that. Well, this is an important post to make sure those things happen the way you want them to happen.
We're speaking with Will Chamberlain, the senior counsel at the Article 3 Project, at Will Chamberlain on X. You can follow him there. What are your thoughts on the speed with which we're seeing indictments happen? And, a lot of people want orange jumpsuits and handcuffs and visuals. People want the visual of the arrest. That's a tangible thing. Can those types of things happen this quickly with a new administration?
No, not really. People do need to be patient. You need to think about what happened during the Biden administration. It took them 3 years to get the Trump indictments out the door. And there's a reason for that. It's especially in the early months, you don't have all your staffers. You don't have all your lower level cabinet heads, right? Harmeet Dillon just got, I don't even know if she's been in office a month. It's roughly been about that long. I think she got confirmed sometime last month. Mm-hmm. So she's running the Civil Rights Division. She's very active now. She's announcing a bunch of investigations. She's a great follow on X for that reason. But it takes time. Like, just because Pam Bondi got in back in January doesn't mean that the people who are like handling the line investigations are in place. And then once they're in place, you don't want an indictment that gets immediately dismissed by a judge. That indictment needs to be investigated. You need to collect the evidence. You need to do the analysis about which specific crimes need to be brought. You need to write it out, be very rigorous. You need to ensure that if you actually bring an indictment, you think you can get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. So these things, law is not snap your fingers, especially prosecutions. And also the kind of indictments we're talking about are complicated and pushing somewhat, I wouldn't say novel, but they're not as simple as straightforward crimes, in the same way that you're prosecuting a murder, the indictment is not complicated to write. You know what you're doing. But when you're talking about conspiracy against rights, things like that, you have to actually do a lot of legal research, make sure that your theory fits and will not just get thrown out of court by a judge.
Bondi, Patel, Bongino, Harmeet Dillon, you're talking about her as well. Do you still have full confidence that these are the right people for the job?
Oh yeah, and does anybody have a better idea of who they think should be in these positions? Like,
I think they would like to put themselves in there. Yeah.
A lot of people want my boss to do it, but he's in Colorado, happy to be out of the administration. He'd likely struggle to get confirmed, as he's told me many times.
His reign of
but I can promise you, like my boss has full confidence in these people, right? Everybody's like, we want Mike Davis. I promise you, Mike Davis has full confidence in who Trump has put forward, and does not believe he would be doing a better job than they would be doing.
Yeah.
So,
patience.
People should just the law is you can't snap your fingers. It's not that easy. And if we did snap our fingers and try to do it, bad things would happen. We would get humiliated.
Well said. Absolutely. I want to highlight something that's breaking within the last hour from a Fox News report. The Supreme Court has sided with the Trump administration in lifting a lower court's order that paused the Pentagon's transgender military ban. In short order on Tuesday, the High Court handed the White House win as Trump seeks to unmake the Biden-era diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda. The court stayed a lower court order allowing the Pentagon policy to take effect. Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson would have denied the administration's appeal and kept the lower court injunction in place. I wonder what your thoughts are on this news out of the Supreme Court.
It's excellent news. It means that we're almost certainly going to win this case when it eventually gets to the Supreme Court, if it even does. And it means that Pete Hegseth and his team at DOD are going to be able to go and effectively run the military. Sorry, there's no requirement, and there shouldn't be, that the military have people who have, honestly, what is a mental disorder. ADD is disqualifying from military service, and I've been diagnosed with ADD. Even if I were young enough to join the military, they would exclude me on that basis. The idea that a disorder that requires massive, major surgery to correct a mental issue would not disqualify is ridiculous. And the military shouldn't have to put up with this sort of social engineering nonsense. And the people who are in the military who are trans should, they just have to find another place to work. And we're not saying you can't do anything, but the military is not right for you. Seriously, it's not, because it's not about you. It's about the country.
It's also not right for most people. That's why it's exceptional. Yeah, I think you make a great point with the ADD thing there, that like if it's an exceptional position, we can't be making exceptions and, like you said, put the greater mission at peril. Last question before we let you go. We're speaking with Will Chamberlain, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. You've given your vote of confidence there with a lot of the people in the justice system. It seems as though there is this insatiable pursuit to try to wreck Pete Hegseth. I'm looking at this and thinking, like, if you bring Pete Hegseth down, I don't know that really persuades voters to change their vote next time. They're not going to lose confidence in Trump because they got Pete Hegseth. We've also seen some kind of petty things after Kash Patel here as of late. Why do you think it's those two people currently that are being pursued so heavily by the media and the Trump detractors?
Well, the Democrats desperately want a scalp, and so they want to bring down somebody in the Trump administration. The closest they've come is Mike Waltz, but Mike Waltz is getting a cabinet post. He's actually getting a promotion. So I think the Trump administration understands that a lot of what went wrong in the first administration started when they fired Mike Flynn over the nonsense from the FBI and from Andy McCabe and James Comey and people like that. They're not going to make that mistake again. So, the Democrats really want to scalp because they want to weaken the Trump administration this time around. But the Trump administration won't be weakened in this way unless they consent to it, and they're not going to consent to it. That's the dynamic at play. So, it's a lot bigger than Pete Hegseth, who I think is doing a great job, but it's a lot bigger than Pete Hegseth.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Will, thank you for the time today. We look forward to having you back again soon. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Happy to come on.
Yep. Thank you so much. Will Chamberlain, who is a senior counsel at the Article 3 Project, works very closely, obviously, there with Mike Davis. It's always a pleasure to have him here speaking to us about really getting to the root of what's going on and cutting out the BS and getting to the facts of the matter. And we appreciate him for that. All right, let's get Ryan Wiggins back in studio here when we come back. I don't know. He's probably going to be wanting to talk more about like identifying flirting behavior in women as a science from marriage.com. that was Wiggins America, if you missed it. We'll get Ryan back in here, and the YouTube live chat poll that we are asking you based off of the Meet the Press interview that the president gave Kristen Welker this weekend. Who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? JD Vance, Marco Rubio. Those are the two names that the president gave, is just kind of highlighted. They're doing a great job. Is it one of those two, or is it another Republican, or forget about it? I'm voting Democrat. That's what you got to tell us on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Every time I'm ready to make
PointPestControl.com website, point with an E, PointPestControl.com. When you call them at 636-798-0023, you can hook up with them regardless of what side of the river you're on, Missouri and Illinois. You want Point Pest Control to make sure your home is bug-free, spider-free, mosquito-free, termite-free, ant-free, all of it. You can put your trust in the people at Point Pest Control to handle that situation. Maybe you don't have ants, but you don't want to get ants. If you sign up like I do for the quarterly service plan with Point Pest Control, 636-798-0023, 636-798-0023, you're going to be in the best hands. They are going to help you with whatever situation you're dealing with specifically. Let me talk to you real quick about mosquitoes. If you're going to have a gathering outside on that big deck that you have now built at your home that you love, you are going to want to enjoy the space out there. And there's nothing that kills an outdoor party faster than mosquitoes. You can reach out to Point Pest Control. Let them know that you're going to be having this sort of gathering. You want to be outside. They can come spray before your gathering so that you don't have to move inside and avoid those mosquitoes. For the little ones around your house, of course, you don't want to deal with it either. Those tiny mosquitoes will not be there for your event. Just schedule that treatment today. 636-798-0023. You got graduation parties coming up, Mother's Day coming up, birthdays, probably bridal showers and baby showers and all that stuff that happens outdoors during this time of year. Get those mosquitoes gone for your event at 636-798-0023. PointPestControl.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
Here's the hard truth. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. And you see it every time you fill up your tank, buy groceries, or pay the bills. Prices are up. Your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven. Gold, an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance, one-on-one support, and transparent pricing. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar as a thank you. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
The Diamond Shop graduation sale. All watches are 20% off, even Movado. Men's jewelry is 40% off. 40% off Pirelli G and gold fashion jewelry. Everything else is 30% off. The Diamond Shop.
If you're looking for the perfect weekend getaway that's close to home here in St. Louis, it's Innsbrook, just to the west of St. Louis, 100 plus lakes, hiking trails, a gorgeous golf course, and plenty of options for living, either full-time or with a vacation home. And this year at Innsbrook, the new Sonnenhaus homes are available. The Tyrolean Sonnenhaus combines the modern exterior of a treehouse with the cozy interior of a cottage. They are awesome, and you can find out more and explore everything about Innsbrook easily at Innsbrook-resort.com. That's Innsbrook-resort.com.
The YouTube live chat poll today is, who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? We gave you a couple choices based on what Trump said in that Kristen Welker interview, J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, but it could be another Republican or you're voting Democrat. Those are your four options for the YouTube live chat poll today. It is 1:47. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Annie. Join me for the 5th annual Chairman's Golf Tournament on Monday, May 12th at Tamarack Golf Club in Shiloh, Illinois, benefiting the St. Clair County GOP. The 4-person scramble includes awesome prizes and lunch. We're broadcasting live. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
I know you can't work in fast food all your life, but don't sign that paper tonight. She said, but it's too late.
I got a message from somebody who was excited to hear that somebody who doesn't vote the way we do was listening to the show.
Okay.
They posted this thing on Facebook. So yesterday when we were talking about Pope Trump.
Yes.
And again, disclaimer. I, Annie Fry, am not Catholic. Ryan?
Not Catholic.
Brad?
No.
Christian?
Not Catholic.
Christian.
Christian?
Yes.
Christian. We all have our denominations of sorts, but not Catholic. But this person posted on Facebook a concern about they say they were raised Southern Baptist. They didn't really follow up with it, didn't really adhere to Catholicism, so they identify themselves as not Catholic as well. And they say recent events are reminding me of why I question faith in my adult life. And they say, I listened to both sides of the news. I heard on 97.1 today, Annie Fry or whoever said she didn't care that Trump posted a photo of himself as the Pope because she's not Catholic. It didn't bother her, as that's not her religion. So then she followed up with, that leads me to this. If Donald Trump posted an AI photo of himself as Jesus Christ, would you be okay with that? As Christians? Would you? I'll answer your question. No. And if you question, I mean, I appreciate that she is listening to the show, and I appreciate that she's trying to seek out answers, and she's using us as a way to hear what the other side is thinking. And honestly, this is the key part of our show that I care deeply about, which is being probably most of the time listenable enough for the other side. Because I don't want anybody to listen to this show and be like, she's the worst. Although sometimes I probably am. If you don't believe me that I wouldn't criticize Trump for invoking and implementing an AI image of himself as our Lord and Savior, I would encourage you to go podcast the show on the same day as the National Day of Prayer. And I'm not even going to say what I said. Do you guys remember how I opened the show?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on my reaction to the National Day of Prayer at the White House?
You thought at least at the moment that we dipped into it, that it was extremely showy and not about Jesus.
Yeah. I think that the way I would describe it is you were frustrated that Donald Trump made it about him instead of about the prayer.
May have been a direct quote. And I spent a lot of time saying that, like, my religion, my Christianity, my faith supersedes my politics. My politics, everybody's politics are downstream from wherever you derive your morality from. Now, if you're like a Nero type of a person, then, white knuckle, hold on tight. But if you're a Christian, I can't imagine that your personal politics, I can't imagine you'd be fully self-identifying as a Christian and not have that have any bearing on how you understand morality and therefore how you would vote. And this is touchy because I appreciate that this woman is trying to seek out these answers. I appreciate that she is trying to make sense of this. And I can't clarify enough that I am not here. I am not on this show on 97.1 going to try to push my, denominationally specific theological viewpoints to parse different types of Christians. So Catholics believe things that are different than me. I'm Lutheran. So by definition, I come from a denomination of faith that was never actually intended to be a denomination of faith. It was intended to reform the Catholic Church and to position the Catholic Church to be more biblically facing. That is my viewpoint. I understand it might not be yours. Respect that. That's fine. When I say, and I kind of walked into this, but maybe I wasn't clear enough when I said it before, that it doesn't bother me that Trump did that about the Pope. I don't hold the Pope in any level of theological hierarchy than I do any of us. And that would be a departure from the people who are in the Catholic Church. And I understand that they believe differently than I do. But for me, the image of the Pope is more on par with an image that would be of somebody like me than it would be of Jesus Christ. The Pope is closer to me than he is to Jesus Christ. Catholics probably disagree with that. That's my understanding of how the Catholic Church looks at the Pope. I think there's one triune God. I'm not going to get into the three individual yet one Trinity conversation. Some of you would love that, but you are not enough.
At 2 o'clock,
there are not
we'll
enough of you for me to justify to my boss. He'd be like, "Were you trying to explain the Trinity at 1:55 on your show?" No.
Well, at 2 o'clock, we're going to do Trinity and predestination versus Calvinism versus whatever.
Single predestination. Anyway, so I to the point of this person who dipped into our show and put my name out there, which is how it got to me. I appreciate you for doing that. I have an E in Fry for future references when you want to talk about it. I would have a problem with Donald Trump doing that. He didn't yet. So I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Donald Trump for posting an AI version of himself as Jesus Christ because he didn't do that yet. And if he did, I would call him out. And if you think that I'm just saying that because you're sort of calling me out, but I don't feel hurt or offended by it. I'm glad you're listening and I'm glad you're challenging. I'm happy to call the president out when he does things that I don't agree with. And I did it last week. Thursday, was it, on the National Day of Prayer? I think it was Thursday. It was Thursday or Friday.
The show with it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, we could play this. And then I was listening to it. I'm like, he's just talking about himself. And I had a problem with that. But I'm also not looking at Donald Trump as my savior, ever. Got one. Good. Washed and cleaned by the blood of the Lamb. Thank you, Jesus. Donald Trump, just make America great again. You don't need to save the world. It's been done. Any thoughts? Would you have a problem if Trump posted a picture? Like, compare it to your reaction to Donald Trump as Pope Trump, which he said yesterday that his social media person did that. And he said his wife said it was cute.
And that he couldn't be married if he were the Pope.
Yeah, so he's going to rule it out.
So, yeah, I mean.
Wait, is there a difference to you for Trump to be AI Pope Trump versus AI Jesus Christ Trump?
Yeah, huge difference. But I also get if you're Catholic and you hold the Pope in high regard and you're like, look, this is disrespectful. That's fine. Go after it.
That doesn't mean that you can't also be okay with your vote for him.
That's the thing is with these people that you vote for, they're never going to be, even policy wise, they're never going to be 100% of what you would want. You're always picking the best of the options you have. So they're going to mess up.
Joy Reid said she would vote for a corpse over.
And that's the best she could
Donald
find.
Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. she was talking about Joe Biden. She said, I would vote for a corpse before I would vote for Donald Trump. And it's like, oh, we have a denominational disagreement with the president of the United States. He's the worst. Like,
look, when they do
we're not
stuff,
the same.
But call him out. Like, that's fine. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And so will we call him out if he posts a picture of himself as the savior of the world?
Certainly have to now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will. We will.
Hey, Mr. President, please just make it easy on us and
don't do that.
Just don't do it.
I'm gonna DM his social media person. Be like, could you do me a favor?
I'll just text him.
Stay away from the Jesus memes. Anywho, thanks for listening to the person who posted that. I hope they're listening right now. And I hope that they feel heard and not called out. I'm not trying to call anyone out. I get it.
Yeah, if you don't like it, this is the way to do it. Email Annie. Be like, hey, you should say this.
Well, you can send a message to the show. You can post it. I'm not telling you what you can and can't post on social. This was just posted on social media. I got the screenshots. A I love that you're talking about it. I love that you're listening to find out what the other side thinks, and that's what I think. We'll be right back.
With me, oh yeah, sell out with me tonight. The record companies only give my love.
May is a great time to exercise your Second Amendment rights at the Range St. Louis West. If you're a member this month, they're going to double the discount on firearms from 5 to 10%. Membership has its privileges, and accessories are always 10% off. Ammo 10% off. Classes 15% off. You get free lanes and free rentals with over 120 firearms on the range. Check them out at 14803 Manchester Road or shop online at therangestl.com.
Well, it seems it was just, I think, just about a year ago, last May, when I was attacked by those cicadas. It was a planned attack. I just completely believe it. And I think a couple of them did get up into my brain, but I can still hear them making that noise. It's worse than a gnat. No, again, air conditioning. Mother's Day is coming up. So how about if you're in need of an air conditioner and you want to keep your better half nice and cool and everybody's tempers down in the heat and live in a comfortable environment without cicadas in your head like mine, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. That is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. You want the best for your parents, but making the right senior living choice can feel overwhelming. Let me make it easier. New Perspective in Weldon Spring is where older adults can thrive, not just reside. At New Perspective, your loved one will enjoy chef-prepared meals, engaged activities, state-of-the-art technology, and a welcoming community that feels like home. You'll have peace of mind knowing that they have care available when they need it. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. New Perspective, where every day is a chance to live life on purpose.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A green light from the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The justices allowing the Pentagon to enforce a ban on transgender service members. For now.
A divided Supreme Court will allow the Trump administration to enforce a ban on transgender military service while legal challenges proceed. Shortly after taking office, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued the policy ordering the military branches to identify transgender service members and remove them from service. A federal judge in Washington state blocked the ban, calling it discriminatory. But a majority of justices will allow the ban to be enforced as appeals courts consider the case. The court's three liberals, Justices Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson, would have kept the policy on hold.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. A friendly first meeting between President Trump and Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney.
You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl.
Carney says he was elected to transform Canada and that his country will never be for sale. President Trump says Canada would be better off as the 51st state.
I still believe that, but you know, takes two to tango, right?
But also saying he has a lot of respect for Carney. During that Oval Office meeting, the president also announcing an apparent breakthrough with Houthi rebels in Yemen.
The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've been announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore.
He says the U.S. will stop airstrikes on the Houthis immediately as they have agreed to stop attacks on ships in the region. However, he said it's not a deal with the Houthis. Just getting word that Kentucky Derby winner Sovereignty will not run in the Preakness, eliminating the chance of a horse racing Triple Crown for the 7th year in a row, though they do plan to run Sovereignty in the third leg, the Belmont Stakes, next month. America is listening to Fox News.
From around the world,
Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
To Washington.
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
The recent flight delay.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
It's a pretty nice Tuesday afternoon, weather-wise, with sunshine in control. I think we'll top out at about 73 degrees. The evening is quite pleasant, right around 70. And then tonight, partly to mostly cloudy skies return, 54. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy. Couple of scattered showers, but no all-day rain, 69. Same story Thursday. Thursday's high, 75. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Cardinals fans, there are more ways this season to watch your Cardinals on FanDuel Sports Network. For the first time, you can subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network and stream the Cardinals without blackouts. Monthly, seasonal, and annual packages available. Also new this season, you can stream FanDuel Sports Network through Amazon Prime Video with an add-on subscription. As always, you can watch FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit Cardinals.com/TV to learn more.
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Tournament is coming back to St. Louis. Join us on May 7th at Energizer Park for the round of 32 and watch St. Louis City SC battle Union Omaha to kick off our run for America's most historic trophy. Get tickets at stlcitysc.com/Open Cup and help the boys in red bring home an 11th U.S. Open Cup to our city.
Is thinning hair or receding hairline making you self-conscious? Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Well, I talked with Will Chamberlain in the last hour about the news that came out of the Supreme Court, which we haven't really discussed it here real quick. Fox News is reporting that the Supreme Court today sided with the Trump administration in lifting a lower court order that paused the Pentagon's transgender military ban from taking effect, allowing Trump's order and related policies to proceed, at least. The high court ruling is a near-term victory for the White House, even as it did not address the underlying merits of the case or President Donald Trump's January 27th executive order banning transgender service members from the U.S. military. This to me is the epicenter of how far DEI has gotten. When you present the United States military as like a place for all, I feel less safe. Not because of transgender people. I bet you there are transgender people who could do the job. But on the whole, we tell people with less obvious mental conflicts. Is that the best way to say it?
Well, I just raised my hand because you went there, and I was like, well, I don't go on that one. but
speaking of less obvious mental conflicts, Ryan Wiggins, what do you think?
Well, I raised my hand at the wrong time.
Yeah.
I can't be in the military because of cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
That's been obvious my whole life. They've either like, look,
that
if there's a draft.
That sounds like a pickup line. I was going to do it. I tested and I can do all the physical things, but
hey, swipe left, because I can't be in the military because of cystic fibrosis.
Is that the direction you're supposed to swipe?
Check me out. I don't know. I've never used Tinder. Is that what you do? Swipe left for?
I think so. Isn't swipe right good?
Then I meant swipe right.
Also, if you swipe right, do you move your finger from left to right?
Oh no, I don't know these things. And I was doing this whole segment on flirting earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I should know this because
Will Chamberlain.
I did not know that actually.
Will Chamberlain said, who is senior counsel at the Article 3 project. He's like, Will Chamberlain's like, I have ADD. I can't be in the military.
I heard him say that. And the other point that he made, big point that I'm like, that's a really good point, is when you sign up for the military, it's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
The military has to decide who is going to be best for a specific purpose. You could really apply that to a lot of things.
Pretty much death and destruction.
And with the military, it has to be a very specific purpose that is a much larger mission that you are there. That's why they call it service.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about others. And that's why we thank people for their service.
We struggle with that as a society. Anything that has to do with service. I'm actually surprised. You go if you go to a place like a drive-through window or whatever, most of the time people they're not necessarily rude, but there isn't an element of customer service that exists anymore. I don't know if you could really hold that standard in minimum wage paying food service jobs. I don't know if you could really hold that standard and keep employees.
I don't either. People be leaving left and right. I can't keep up with that.
If
you
kindness,
expect me to have a good day?
Well, this Karen comes through the drive-through and I'm still supposed to be nice to them?
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
Yes, you are, or at least try. They don't even try. They're just like, look, you are an inconvenience to me, but I have to be here. So
the best you can do is just like get in, get your food and get out. And then you go to a couple places. I'll say this for the scooters that I go to almost every day. They're always kind and they're always pleasant. And that's honestly one of the main reasons why I go back there.
I was going to say, that's actually one of the reasons I go there over other coffee
to scooters
shops.
for coffee.
Yeah, because they're nice.
And it doesn't take anything to be nice. And maybe it takes a little extra something to be nice to someone who is indifferent to not nice or just,
Well, you have to
entitled.
have an attitude. I think it does take something. You do have to, if you are having a bad day or you have to get up early, especially there, and go to work, you got to put yourself in that mindset.
You ever work in a job that required positive customer service?
Yes. Yeah. Well, the golf courses constantly. That's all we did.
What did you do? How did you manifest exceptional customer service?
We were the Cart Boys. So
was that a band? What'd you sing? Was it like barbershop stuff?
You ever heard Freebird? That was Leonard Skinner.
It was not the Cart Boys.
That wasn't the Cart Boys. I just wanted to get that one song out there because people confuse that a lot when they hear Freebird. Was that Cart Boys? I think Wiggins was in that band. It was a tough job because you did have to get there right at dawn. A lot of golfers show up right at the crack of dawn. And it is when you're 16, 17 years old, you don't want to wake up at dawn, man. You don't want to be there. So you had to put that aside and at least be cordial. You wouldn't have to be smile on your face. Everything's great, but you're not going to be a jerk. And that's okay with most people.
When the rubber meets the road and you're dealing with a customer who thinks you suck, how did you react to that?
I think I pretty much wowed everybody, Annie.
Oh.
So I don't remember that happening.
That's how you got here.
But I think
hypothetically speaking,
hypothetically,
there was a jerk who was not enthralled by your customer service expertise. Did you kill him with kindness? Did you decide to tell him what's up? Did you just try to avoid them?
Yeah, I actually did. I would try to win them over usually if they were a real jerk. And then if you try that and it still doesn't work, you're like, well, I'm not going to get a tip. I guess I'll just give up. Because that's the other thing is that when you're working for tips,
yeah,
man, you got extra motivation, and we were. So,
Brad, did you work in customer service?
Yeah, I would say whenever I worked Taco Bell, I was customer service because my job was to make sure everybody in the drive-thru was happy. They would come through the long line and whatever was going on, and I was the face of whatever they were frustrated with on the inside.
The face of Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm. And so like you were there, you were happy. What can we make for you today? How can we make your day better?
Did you do the voice thing?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Did you record the voice, or that before?
No, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Don't. I got things to say.
Well, once you say it, you know
it
what
was prior to that, Ryan.
What a scoop!
It was prior to that.
23 Skidoo.
We did it live. We wrote it and we did it live.
Let's do it live.
But yeah, when people would come through, or if they would come back by and their order was wrong or there was something wrong with it, that it was my job to basically figure out what their biggest issue was and what their problem was and how I could resolve it and make them happy.
Give them the old thumbs down.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if there's a trouble and you pull up to the drive-through window and Brad's just standing there with his thumbs down?
Yeah, scowling, just going.
It's like Gladiator.
Boo, boo, boo.
No, no, I wouldn't do that though, because my job was to make them happy, even if their job was to make my life miserable.
No.
But
how long did you work at Taco Bell?
Oh gosh, 3 years. I think I had 3 years in there, and
I did 3 years.
Yeah, I did 3 years. but my goal was always
I did 3 years in Belleville.
Like it was in Belleville.
At the Taco Bell, at the T-Bell,
by the fairgrounds. So
yeah, I was
you
the
would
face of
drive by that one. That's Brad used
institution.
to work there. But this was 35-cent taco time. Blue Score 5. You get 35-cent tacos. You get
man, those were the days.
Yeah, unless you worked there. And then it was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be awful. But at the end of the day, if somebody was upset, my strategy was always to figure out what their problem was and how could I not just resolve it, but make it better. So I didn't just want to get your order right. I wanted to then make it up to you for whatever reason it was made wrong, for whatever reason. And so like when people figured out that you were actually on their side and trying to help them, whatever anger and rage and all that stuff that they had, it would always subside. I'm like, oh no, this person's trying to help me out. And so when they found out you were on their side, then the situation got better and you usually came to a good resolution.
I want to say a few things about the recorded voice on there.
This is a radio show, guys. Somebody's got to talk.
Yeah, it's you.
And you can't say that.
Brad.
Don't.
Have we out AI'd ourselves? It's most evident to me in the drive-through. Any drive-through, you pull up and the most pleasant, sunshiny voice you've ever heard is like, hello, what can we make for you today? And then this person's like, I'll be with you in a minute.
Yeah. Hang on a second.
And then it's like, okay, like you go, oh.
Yeah, you go, oh, hey. Whoa, no, you're not.
Yeah. And it's like,
where's the other person? Bring them back.
Hello, welcome to McDonald's. Would you like to try some ice cream today? What can we make for you? Ice cream machine's down, just a minute. And then it's like 5 minutes, you're sitting there, and then you order, and they're like, we don't have that. We don't have that. And I'm like, can I talk to her again?
Man, I remember when I went to Arby's, and they're like, it's like, hey, welcome to Arby's. What would you like?
Yeah, the people are
and
all
I was like,
that.
oh, I'll have a sandwich. And they're like, we don't have any roast beef right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's Arby's. You don't have any roast beef?
Yeah,
That's a real story.
Roast beef.
It's Arby's, you guys. You don't have any roast beef.
Why do we have the people who greet you at the drive-thru who are always in great conflict with the real people who you have to talk with?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not just the drive-thru for food, though. I really am upset because my favorite recording went away just recently at CVS Pharmacy.
Okay.
I would pull up and it would go, welcome to CVS Pharmacy. And then it would go this whole thing. Someone will be with you shortly. But it was the way that they always said, welcome to CVS Pharmacy.
And it's not there anymore?
Is that the real person saying that? This is before AI was real big.
Sounds like a
It
cartoon.
was like 2 years that I'd pull up and I'm like, here's my guy.
Every drive-thru you pull up, they're like, hi.
Yeah.
And you start to say hello, and then they
Like,
interrupt you, and they're like, I'll be with you in
Wait.
a minute. Do you have the app? No, I would just like a Diet Coke. Can I have a Diet Coke? Pull forward. Then there's 3 windows. One of them's closed, and it's never actually been in use.
Stuff stacked up in front of it.
All true. Yeah, you know what? I appreciate when they stack the stuff because then at least you don't sit there for a
you're
second.
not fooled by it.
Go, oh, okay. That's a storage window.
We were coming home from Breeze yesterday. My son had a baseball game at Breeze Central. We came home, and we were going to eat food at home. He was super hungry, so we stopped at the McDonald's in Lebanon, kind of last minute. And my husband just breezed right by the window. And the guy, like Donald Trump, was like, hey, he wanted his money. because we were going right past the first window.
Wait,
We ordered.
Oh, I thought you had driven off with the food.
No,
Okay.
we didn't do that.
That's a weird story to tell on the air.
No, we didn't do that. We went through the hi, welcome to McDonald's person.
Yeah.
This whole conversation happened yesterday.
If you were working at a fast food restaurant, wouldn't that be the greatest thing that you could do right now, though? Be like, I'm recording that today.
That's got to be something that McDonald's puts out. That's not a local person. It's a professional voice.
I would advocate for it to be me every day. So that I'd be like, oh, give me the window. Give me the window.
What you would do, and what I would probably do, is after the recording got done, I would just do a new fake recording.
Yes. Local control.
As cheerful. Yeah, this is federalism. As cheerful as you possibly could be, but I would list all the things we don't have. Go ahead with your order.
Yeah. Welcome to McDonald's. We do not have pizza today.
Our shake machine is broken.
List all the stuff that you never had.
Why was there a third window? Why did we go? There was a phase where every fast food restaurant's like, we need more windows. We can't control the flow of people here. We need more windows. Nobody ever used the third window.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the third window was for.
In case of
Can
emergency?
you tell us? Can you tell us, Brad?
Yeah, from the inside.
Mine only had one window.
That's why he was the face. He
Yeah,
made
was
sure of it. He boarded the other ones up.
the
He's like,
face
no
of
more
that
faces
Taco
of
Bell.
Taco Bell. This
Yeah.
is my face. Look at this.
No, put all
Is it
the
not gorgeous?
Put all the shells in front of the first window so people know not
Stacks
to
of
stop there.
cups.
What? Okay. What about the 2 drive-through order line?
Yeah, I love it.
Fan or not?
Fan.
I am too, except that
Especially when
there's
you
a
go
little
to
tension in there sometimes with other people.
That's an internal tension. Don't be an arse and wait your turn. And when it's your turn, take
Thank you
your
for
turn.
using the Irish cuss word.
Thank you.
We can get away with that.
Hmm.
I think we might be able to say the other one.
Yeah, we can. I just don't.
Let's try.
Actually, I do. I just
Let's
don't
try
do
it
here.
all together and yell it.
Arse. Don't be a jerk. Understand the flow. You go, I go. It's a zipper merge, people. I love the zipper merge.
I like it in concept. I love that they're doing it because it does get you through a little bit quicker. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Are you prone to pick the correct lane
But the
or the
problem,
slow lane?
yeah, the problem is I'm constantly gauging, oh, did I pick the right one? And then I'll sit there between them if nobody's behind me and wait for which one move first. But if somebody's behind me, you got to pick. Okay, I picked. And then if the other one rolls through 1, 2, 3 cars before you go,
do you yell at them?
I get mad.
You're like, hi, welcome to McDonald's.
Shut up, robot.
Get behind me because you were here after me. And
Yeah.
then you just go
I get
on
out of
your
my
day.
car.
You're going to get shot.
And you know what I do next? I do what that lady yesterday did.
Time for break.
You need to listen to Wiggins America yesterday
No,
to
you
find out
don't.
what that was.
Gosh, just a reminder that if you're somebody who listens to the podcast of the Annie Fry Show, Ryan is the one who clips those and titles them, and it's just basically his contribution of every segment that he's in.
I figured that would come up at some point.
Whatever the title of the segment is not actually what we discussed. It's just what Ryan discussed.
Something I said.
And I don't have any power or authority over the names of the segments on the Annie Fry Show podcast because somebody gave it to Ryan. So the Annie Fry Show podcast actually does have me on it, but the titles are just Ryan's highlight reel as he sees fit.
You know why I do that? Because I remember best what I said in that.
Yes,
segment.
this is not enlightening.
So naturally, like, oh yeah, I remember saying
I
that.
get
That's a
I
great
get an
title.
alert on my phone for every podcast episode that comes up. I'm like, Ryan said that.
Wait till you see
Ryan
today's
said that.
titles. now,
Yeah,
now
I
that
know.
We've talked about it.
It's just gonna be Ryan all
That's-
the time.
That's the name of hour 1.
Yeah, that's the name of this show, isn't it? Seems like
Can't
it
be.
is. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Barry Door and Window online at barrydoorandwindow.com. Since 1969, Barry Door and Window has been providing homeowners throughout the greater St. Louis area, of course, with quality customized doors. They started with garage doors and they've expanded to being able to customize pretty much any kind of door window that is going to go into your home. Stunning. When you are seeking out quality, when you are seeking out the perfect customizable door for your home, you go to Barry Door and Window. Call them directly at 314-423-DOOR, 314-423 Door. They can service all brands, no matter your issue. You can call Barry Door and Window to schedule the absolute pros. These people work directly for Barry Door and Window. They are experts. There is great longevity in the people who have been working with Barry for so long. These installers are fantastic. They are the best. They have personalized experience with endless customization for all types of exterior and interior doors, and they are built in-house right here in St. Louis. BarryDoorandWindow.com, 314-423-DOOR, 314-423-DOOR for the very best in customizable doors and window, BarryDoorandWindow.com.
Do you know about the true crimes that inspired a Bruce Springsteen album? Or the murders AC/DC was blamed for? How about Taylor Swift's Violent Stalkers? Or the suspicious deaths of Brittany Murphy and River Phoenix? These stories and more are told in the Disgraceland podcast, hosted by me, Jake Brennan, every Tuesday, where I dive deep into subjects from the dark side of music history and entertainment. So follow and listen to Disgraceland on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This Memorial Day weekend, bring your crew to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the D-backs. May 23rd to the 25th, catch great promotions all weekend long, including a Mason Win bobblehead and a Kid City Connect jersey giveaway. Kick off your summer with ballpark hot dogs, ice-cold beers, and entertainment for the whole family. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com. This is how summer is meant to be. See you at the ballpark.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at Cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res, and let me give you a little incentive and inspiration to get your home really, really clean the right way. And it's not just about the carpet cleaning, although that's what they really specialize in. They're professional carpet cleaners. They've been in St. Louis and in Missouri for a long time, but Zero Res can handle every surface in your home. Carpets, tile and grout, hardwood, laminate, stone, upholstery, rugs, and air ducts. And you know Zero Res as the zero residue carpet cleaners that don't leave behind any of the dirt-attracting soaps and chemicals that other carpet cleaners use. Don't risk the other guys. Don't do DIY. I've made that mistake. Your carpets are going to be worse off in the long run. So this month, take advantage of a great offer. Get 3 rooms, 0 resified from St. Louis's #1 carpet and air duct cleaners, starting at $129, and take $75 off your air duct cleaning package. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean air. Call Zero Res right now, 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Say you want the Mark Reardon or the 97.1 FM Talk Special. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Experience the Beatles anew as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra presents Revolution, the music of the Beatles. The SLSO joins top vocalists and musicians to perform sweeping orchestral arrangements of more than 25 of the Beatles' top hits, like Here Comes the Sun, Hey Jude, and Let It Be. Revolution, the music of the Beatles, with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, features stunning video, animation, and hundreds of unseen photos, bringing the band's enduring legacy to life. Saturday, May 17th at Steeple Theater. Tickets on sale now at slso.org.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save now with 2024 pricing and Carrier Cool Cash rebates up to $1,700 on a new HVAC system. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Maybe the most impactful thing I've ever said on the show is that RB roast beef.
Mm-hmm.
People are commenting about putting that connection together, and Brad just goes, I put that together when you said that.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
That's kind of new.
Do you know what the letters BBQ stand for? Barbecue. Did you just put that together?
Yes.
Somebody said that in the chat.
Hi, welcome to the Annie Fry Show, where you learn useless knowledge.
You know what? You should just use all the acronyms when ordering. Be like, hey, I'll take an RB and a TS, please. That's a turkey sandwich, ma'am.
I'm like, T.S. Taylor Swift in our house. You said you had something you needed to share. I'm going to regret this decision.
This is your fault ahead of time. A woman has sparked a fierce debate over dog poop disposal after asking the internet if she should throw her pet's waste in her neighbor's trash can.
Excuse me, what? That's not... What?
This is a serious question, she says.
Is this on Reddit?
If I'm walking... No, this is Daily Mail. If I'm walking my dog in my neighborhood, and she poops in somebody's yard, I'm going to clean it up. Great. That's what you're supposed to do. But then I throw away the dog's poop bag in the dumpster or in the trash can of the person's yard that I'm walking by. Is that acceptable?
No.
Why?
Do you want me to explain it to
I do.
you?
I want you to
You
explain.
can't put poop in somebody else's stuff.
What if it's out on the curb, going to be picked up that day?
No.
Why is that a problem?
Because if it gets dislodged and it gets on the inside of the garbage, I'm gonna throw up thinking
It's in a bag. It's in a bag.
Dislodged.
Be real careful. Let's say you're being real careful. You got it double, triple bagged. It's not coming out. Maybe a little hot, but it's not coming out. Don't react to that. But you throw it away in the trash can that's there.
You're testing me.
Why is that a problem?
Because it's not your trash can.
It is true. It is not your
and
trash
it's not
can.
their poop.
It's not the person's poop either.
Yeah. So that
Dogs.
you can go put it in the dog's trash can. Anything else you want me to help you with?
I still don't get why you can't do that.
You're trying to do this Ryan Wiggins thing where you're advocating for the obviously moronic angle of the story. So before I defend my position, why don't you make an attempt to defend yours?
It's trash. It's not adding any problem.
What's
or work.
trash?
The trash can is already there. It's not causing the owner of the trash can any issues or problems.
I'm going to go in my backyard. I'm going to pick up my dog's crap and I'm going to come in and throw it in your office trash can tomorrow morning.
No, don't do that. It would smell.
Mm-hmm.
But out on the curb, it wouldn't.
You
wouldn't even know.
I'm going to take your trash can, throw dog poop in it, and then I'm going to sit it outside. And then we'll put the trash can back in your...
that trash can. If the
not
guy
if it's
was
at the
coming,
curb. Not if it's at the curb. You're the one who put the trash can on the curb.
If the guy was coming to pick it up right then, when somewhere around,
I'll bring the dog
office,
poop in and I'll put it in your trash can at 2:00 before the very nice gentleman who does our trash cleans it out.
Don't do that. First of all, it's too much work for you to bring your dog's poop into work.
I can tell that you're really looking out for me here. Thank you for that courtesy.
Don't do that. And then second, my trash can does not have a lid, and I would notice that the smell might permeate the bag.
I'll put your notebook on top of it, and it'll have a lid.
I don't want my notebook on that dirty old trash poop can.
You've said enough.
I think that there is a case to be made.
I rest my case.
That these are all, it's not causing anybody any problems. And it does help you to be able to throw it away and not walk around with a bag of poop that you could go ahead and throw it away in somebody else's can. What if it's not even dog poop?
What if it's a park?
What if you're walking around eating a sherbet push pop? I just thought of that because I love those. Let's say you're walking down your street on the sidewalk.
Huge departure from the other conversation.
Eating a sherbet push pop. They're delicious.
Say that 5 times.
You
fast.
get done with it. Sherbet push pop, sherbet push pop, sherbet push pop, sherbet push pop, sherbet push pop. And then,
I rest my case there too.
And then you get to the end and you got a long walk back home. What are you going to do? You're going to put that thing in a bag or in your pocket? No. Just throw it in a trash can that's already out on the curb. Why is that a problem?
Because it's not your trash can.
It's not your trash can, but it's not causing any problems for anybody.
That's not true. If the person who owns the trash can doesn't like it and it's their trash can on their property, then that's a problem.
What would they not like about a push pop?
Other people
container?
using their trash can.
That they don't get to eat it because it's gone.
They don't have to defend the fact that it's their own trash can. That if it's theirs, they get to say what happens.
They have the legal right. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm saying, why would you care if somebody threw something in your trash can? It's not causing you any more problems. It's not costing you any more money.
You're making assumptions about what problems it may or may not be causing me, and that's not really. You don't get to determine that.
I do because I know that it's not causing you any problems.
If you put poop, gross, waste, nasty, in somebody's trash can, or even an ice cream wrapper that has ice cream and sugary stuff on it, if somebody's particularly clean about their trash cans or just paid to have them cleaned, and you've got ice cream stuck to the side of the trash can that's now going to attract ants into their garage, then that's a problem.
That would be a problem.
You
How about
wouldn't-
if the push pop's in a bag?
No,
Because it wouldn't cause any problems.
not your trash can, not your business. Put that in your pocket.
Isn't it a nice thing to do that if you were the person who had the place where lots of people walk by and you thought, you know what, it'd be better and actually easier, maybe even a community service, that if I know that they're going to throw away the trash in my trash can, that they're not going to leave it out somewhere else. Wouldn't you say, well, I'd prefer that? They're not just going to throw trash.
Just leave a trash can on the end of my driveway.
It's trash day, so it didn't bother you in any other way. But if it's there and people, maybe they're going to throw away their trash on the side of the road, you don't know. You're just saying it's easier if they throw it away.
Putting your trash can on the end of your driveway is so that the trash can get picked up. It's not for everybody else to use. If I were walking past your house or you were walking past my house and you used my trash can, I wouldn't care.
Because you know me.
Yes, because I would understand that. But people can't just start using your trash.
I mean, if it became to a problem that so many people were doing it that it was overflowing, then that's a different problem. But that's not what I'm saying.
People are not the difference is not if somebody does it one time and poop always is a no, which is the beginning of the story. But if you're putting a wrapper or something in someone's trash can, it's the exception to the rule to do something like that. Nobody is entitled to use somebody else's trash can because it's trash day and it's sitting on the end of the road. You're not entitled to just be able to use somebody else's stuff like that on their property.
I agree. You're not entitled. But I just, as the homeowner, I would almost say, please do. It's fine. It's not causing me any problems. I'm just really proud that this has gone good 4 or 5 minutes. We got 4 or 5 minutes out of this poop story. And I thought it was a pretty good debate. So I'm a yes.
We worked that out.
That went better than you thought it would, didn't it? I mean, we had an engaging debate.
Should we talk about my original expectations?
But I did want to call it out because I felt like we had achieved everything that we were going to achieve out of that story. And it's only 234. So
we've probably even stretched it a little bit.
I think so too. Yeah. I think this is one we send to the bosses.
I thought that you were going to talk about flirting.
Oh, you want to do that again, huh? Okay, if the lady says so, the lady gets what she wants.
Gross.
Other ways that women flirt with men.
Wiggins America earlier at 12:45, he was explaining to us what women do to flirt.
Oh man, I just want to point this out before we move past that topic. I'm with you, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
That's what somebody said online. She probably represents thousands and thousands of people.
Libby?
Yeah, Libby. All right. Ways that women flirt with men that men may not be picking up on. We've gone through most of these. They were prolonged, intense eye contact.
How are you on eye contact? Like just in general conversation.
What does that mean?
How quickly do you get uncomfortable with eye contact?
If I think about it instantly.
Instantly. I'm the same. All of a sudden I'm like looking up.
Oh, hey, look at that sprinkler system up there. Never noticed that before. This is a solid sprinkler system.
Do you, when you're air quotes making eye contact with people, do you actually look in their eyes or do you look around their eyes?
I actually look into their soul. And I feel that they're looking into mine. We have a deep connection, usually right away, like on a bus even. It's crazy. Number 2 is hair flip is a strong signal.
I don't even understand.
Yeah, that one doesn't make much sense to me.
Have you ever hair flipped, Ethan? You could.
Of course I've hair flipped. Look at me.
Are you flirting when you do it?
Depends who
or is it just windy?
Depends who it is.
He said, look at me.
I did. I was looking
He's asking
right in
you
the
to
eyes.
make eye contact, and now he's
Look at me
flipping
right
his
now.
hair.
Oh, man. That's kind of hot, dude.
You're going to have to do that again. Nobody put you on the camera. There you go.
There it is. Easy now. We're at work.
I'm sorry.
Number 3 is blushing, broad smiles, and laughs.
Yeah. The laughing thing. You want her to laugh, right? Isn't that
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't that one of the, like, in a relationship, one of the things that makes dudes feel the most powerful is that you can make her laugh?
Absolutely.
Don't you? Can you tell when she's really laughing for real?
No,
have you,
I can't. I don't care.
I was just saying, you don't care.
I don't care. Gives me confidence.
Especially if she
I'm in the driver's seat now.
That away.
Especially if she's laughing a little extra because she likes you. Like the act of putting on a little bit because she likes you and
But
she
then-
wants you to feel good about yourself.
If you get a little, as she's laughing, you get a little playful tap on the arm.
Oh yeah. Oh,
That's when
stop it, Ethan.
you're flying
If
down
you're
the
not-
interstate.
You're so funny.
If you're not watching the live stream right now, they're like playing off of each other.
That's what we do.
And this tapping, oh stop it stuff, man, like stop it.
Yeah. Whenever
Getting weird
whenever
in
I
here.
tell a joke and a girl goes,
I think I would think even
I'm like,
the fake
that sounded fake.
the fake laugh makes it even better. Like even if you know it's fake because you know she's doing it for you.
You just
Like,
want to laugh at me and be with me because I'm on the radio.
Do your wives
Talk about
how
politics.
fluent and how much do your wives individually here? Ryan, we'll start with you and go Ethan, Brad. How much do they use sarcasm?
My wife uses it intermittently, but not as much as you'd think.
It's not her
It's not her go-to
language.
No, she'll trick the kids a lot and say something really serious, like, bedtime's at 7:30 tonight or something,
Mhm.
and not break. And they're like, wait, you're kind of kidding, right? She's like, what are you talking about? 7:30, just like I told you yesterday.
But like,
it's not really sarcasm.
That's not really sarcasm. Like, is she sarcastic to you?
No, not really. She's just a ray of sunshine or
is.
tired.
She's just too
One of
tired.
the two.
We won't talk about the percentages of either.
We will not.
Ethan, how sarcastic is your wife?
Very rarely. And it's so rarely that when she is sarcastic, it completely fools me every time because usually I am very sarcastic
gonna
with her and she never gets it. So that's why when she does it, it throws me off because it's so rare that she's so bad at understanding it. When she can actually give it back to me, it gets me every time.
Are you would you consider yourself sarcastic, Ryan?
Yeah, but not with her. It doesn't make her laugh that much, so I just don't use it that much.
What's your go-to?
Oh man, she loves voices, like doing characters and stuff. I'm like, man, you're making me work.
Now, does she really love
There's
it?
a character that
Wouldn't it be totally ironic if she actually is just courtesy laughing and you're doing all of these characters and she's having a
walking around
courtesy
like,
laugh?
"Hey, well, look at me.
She's talking to her
76
coworker.
trombones in
It's
the
like-
big parade." She's like,
She's at work
keep
right now going,
going. You're so
he
funny."
loves to do characters. He's
Yeah.
doing them all the time. And I
Yeah.
just have to make him think that I love it so much.
It's so exhausting. It's why I'm tired most of the time.
He's got this 76 trombone
oh my
bit.
gosh, he always walks around doing Music Man. Does the
23
full
Skidoo.
musical every night. I have to sit there and go, ah.
Then he started bringing Gary Vood home, and I knew there was a problem.
So, there's
He
a
just
character
starts
I do.
reporting around the house.
I know that there are things I can do to just make her laugh no matter what. And one is do this character called Carcass Clown.
You've talked
my
about
God.
it.
Have I before?
I don't know. I don't remember the.
It's like I'll just be doing something and be like, oh, Carcass Clown. And I go, and she just,
Horrifying.
I don't know why. She just loses it.
She loves it.
That's actually one of the things I like about her is that I can't figure out. There's only like one or two things. That's one of them that I know if I go to, she'll laugh.
She makes you work a little
But
bit.
she makes me work for it.
Yeah. Good for it.
It is good for it.
Brad, are you sarcastic?
Uh-huh.
Is your wife sarcastic?
No, not at all. Just no sarcasm whatsoever.
That
Which
seems
is-
sarcastic.
Nope. I am sarcastic though, but I got to be careful because sometimes she struggles reading sarcasm. So then I have to.
But you
back
can't
up.
really be sarcastic directly to her, right?
No.
Like if she
Ethan?
goes, we should have sushi tonight. You're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. We should definitely do that.
I actually think I speak 98% in sarcasm.
Get out of
Jared's not a sarcastic person at all.
What was your
I don't think.
percentage?
98,
Percent sarcasm?
probably.
Holy
here. Yeah.
moly.
Sarcasm?
That's 98% sarcasm. Okay, bud.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nice new grill. Love your new grill there, Jared.
Mr. Fry.
I don't think sarcasm has to be mean, though.
No.
Well,
According to us, it does.
yeah, kind of does. All right. Pretending to avoid people was another one.
That's
playing
hard to get. Yeah.
Playing hard to get.
And you said you like hard to get.
I wouldn't admit it on the radio, but absolutely.
You already did admit it on the radio.
Wow.
We'll ask you later.
This is very meta.
Is that
Ethan,
sarcasm?
hard to get.
Not really, no.
Brad?
I'm not a big fan of it.
Brad, hard to get.
I don't like it.
Yeah, you guys all like it more than
I'm
me.
more of a hunter-gatherer.
No.
So
I'm
these guys
very
are.
much
You're more
confused by
you're
it.
more of a gatherer.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Let's take a break.
Picking berries. Hey, a berry field.
That's like a
pull
new
over,
woke
honey.
country music song.
Let's gallop and prance through
It's
it.
called "Forget About the Hunter."
Get
I'll
my
be the
basket.
gatherer. We'll finish out the list and get to your results on the YouTube live chat poll. Who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? Donald Trump threw out two names this past weekend: J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, or maybe another Republican, or you're voting Democrat. Annie Fry YouTube channel, go vote. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
The Retirement Advisory Group is inviting you to their next Protecting Your Retirement educational event Tuesday, May 20th. I would love to see you there. I'll be there from 6 to 6:30. The event begins at 6:30. Mark Cox and Mark Reardon and I are going to meet each and every one of you that attends the May 20th event that's taking place Tuesday at the Frontenac Hilton. We get to know you a little bit before the event starts. Then we turn it over to Thomas Helbig and Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group. It's a free event for you. You want to make sure that once you hit that 59 and a half years of age, that you're making the right moves to move into retirement as intelligently as you possibly can. Peace of mind comes with working with the Retirement Advisory Group. Just call to reserve your spot at the Tuesday, May 20th event taking place at the Frontenac Hilton. I get there at 6. The event begins at 6:30. Call 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494 or find your space online at retirementkey.com.
If it's time for new windows, there's only one place to call. That is Window World. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at Window World at 314-993-1800 for your free estimate today. If you have any questions, they'll be glad to send someone out to explain all of it to you. You can even schedule right online at windowworldstl.com. You know, there's a lot of high interest financing out there, but here's what Window World's doing. Right now, they're offering 18 up to 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. You can't beat that. You also get a lifetime warranty that covers all of the parts, the glass breakage, and labor. Who else stands behind their product like that? Over half the appointments Window World will set this year are from previous customers or referrals from those customers. That is a testimony to their customer service, their quality, and their commitment to creating loyal customers. That's what you get with Window World. Call them at 314-993-1800, windowworldstl.com.
The International Institute of St. Louis invites you to try international cuisine, support local immigrant-owned businesses, and more at their community bazaars. The bazaars are free and open to the public at the International Institute of St. Louis, located at 3401 Arsenal Street, and take place every other Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Learn more about the International Institute of St. Louis Community Bazaars at iistl.org/bazaar. Message supported by Together Credit Union.
Need a lawyer? Onder wins. Call Onder Law at 314-9-million. That's 314-9 all zeros. Or go to onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
The YouTube live chat poll today is, who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? Is it J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, another Republican, or you're voting Democrat? That's the YouTube live chat poll. You find it by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube, and you will find our live stream happening right now. You will see me saying this, and you will be like, wow, he was right. 2:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com.
Picture a place where it all doesn't hurt, where everything's safe and it doesn't get worse.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Picture
So there's a story Fox News is covering. I don't know how many other outlets are covering this. Lisa McLean spotted Jasmine Crockett with a taxpayer-funded police escort cutting everyone in line, even making disabled people wait. Nothing to see here. Just the next leader of the Democrats abusing her power. She skipped over in front of, she wanted to board a commercial plane, and she went on in front of the first people who usually board are the people who need extra assistance. She was the first to board. Does that bother you? Does that type of stuff bother you?
Absolutely.
I think it bothers people more than like some of the stuff that actually matters that Jasmine Crockett might be voting for that is in not your best interest. This type of stuff is like, really?
Yeah, because this kind of stuff is not even intended to be for public consumption.
Yeah.
That's just an indictment on who she is.
I don't know how you would ever think that you're going to do that, and it's not going to likely be publicly consumed, though.
Was there a reason for her to go ahead? Like she needed special accommodations because the public can't be around all these people.
Fox News reports, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, quote, if you self-identify as a passenger with a disability who needs additional time or assistance to board the plane, the airline must allow you to board the plane before other passengers. Customers who need assistance or extra time, active duty U.S. military members and Delta 360 members, which is an invitation-only membership, are allowed to pre-board within Delta Airlines policies. According to the source, Crockett walked up to the gate flanked by a police officer and, quote, what looked like her staffer, end quote, had her boarding pass scanned and then proceeded to board the plane before any other passenger. So there's a line, the picture has a line of people in wheelchairs waiting to get on the plane.
That just sounds like celebrity special treatment.
Good for her for flying commercial?
I don't know.
They make the rules.
I'm just glad they make the rules. They're the ones making the laws.
It's just not the image that you want to have out there. You know, if a Republican did this, there would be absolute outrage.
And that's fine. There should be. If you have no reason, I mean, I can't figure out why she would need to. Because you're still gonna, if you're sitting up front, everybody's gonna still be walking by you. It's not like you're avoiding people.
Yeah, and if the plane is full,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't get it. Anyway, you want to finish your flirting article?
I do. There are a couple we didn't get to yet. This one we haven't gotten to. Attention-seeking attempts are flirting. When a woman makes efforts to grab your attention, she's definitely attracted to you. It seems pretty obvious. She's excited to see you around, does not want to lose a chance of catching your eye.
Yeah, that's big.
True?
That's, I don't think, any more for females than it is for men.
No. We just do it differently, right?
Yeah, it's usually bigger and
I was going to say, men are a little more in your face about it.
What's the most...
Hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I'm doing this dance. Look what I can do.
What is he doing?
Let's talk.
Is there like that type of thing? Is there a more obvious delineation between the sexes than how they individually try to get the attention of the other sex? The way women try, it's like a secret that you want everyone to know.
Mm-hmm.
And men are like, hey guys, watch this.
Yeah.
You got to take this in. And it's so brave and bold, especially when you fail. Because you're like willfully thinking that it's going to be the greatest thing ever.
It's not actually about the execution. It's about the recognition of they were willing to be that stupid for me.
That's the thought process.
For the girl, I'm asking, is that the thought process of like, okay, they went through that, even though it was dumb.
You know, if you like the guy, then everything is just got a filter on it. You know, like everything's a little rosier.
Otherwise, it's just pathetic.
That's what's tough about being a guy.
That's a yes.
That's what's tough, is that you are always walking that line.
What's the boldest thing you ever did to get a girl's attention, Ryan?
Is it called peacocking when a girl does it, or is that just when a guy does it?
Well, I mean, by virtue of what a peacock is actually doing and is male and fanning their feathers, that's...
So, because I wasn't sure.
I think the analogy could be used for females, but I don't think females do that.
So one time, there was a girl I really liked in college, and so I walked by her without saying anything, but I spread out all my feathers on my butt.
Yeah.
So I had to clarify whether that was something that just a guy could do.
I don't know why that ridiculous story would need to be clarified in that way. I guess, so you're not taking this seriously. Ethan, what's the most wild thing that you ever did to try to get a girl's attention?
You know, I was just thinking about this last night. Saw someone post on Instagram that I had a crush on back in the day. And I remember such a stupid thing that I did. I was either 13 or 14, but I made a picture of me and her, my profile picture on Facebook, just us. And it was like so obvious. I was like, oh my gosh, everyone at school probably knew what I was trying to do. And I think she even had a boyfriend at the time or something. So it was like, this is really stupid.
That game.
Yeah, it was just.
Half of the picture was the boyfriend with an X over the face.
It didn't go that far, but
I'm gonna be super sneaky.
Yeah, me thinking like, this is a smooth move.
Were you friends?
Yeah, we were.
And how'd that go?
Literally nothing ever came out of it. I never shot my shot. I was way too shy. That was literally my way of
saying, "Look at me and Hottie McTeeth over here."
Yeah, that popped into my mind last night. Like, oh my god,
Were you
how
embarrassed?
stupid was that? Last night?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I did that.
You were thinking about this yesterday?
It popped into my mind last night because I was scrolling through my timeline and I saw something that they had recently posted, and that came into my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
How you said you were super shy?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
How many crushes did you have?
Shy around pretty girls.
Legit crushes did you have that you were not, that you never like ever wanted them to find out that you like them?
Oh, none. Not that I can think of. Not that I can think of. If I had a crush on them, that I guess that may have been the only one. But I feel like by me doing that, it kind of made it obvious.
Yeah, that's a move.
But I was too dumb to realize it was a move. It was like I half realized it, half didn't realize what I was doing.
Ryan, were you always like, I like her, I will get her?
I may have told this story before, but it was my freshman year of college. There was a girl, and it was a big class. And there was a girl in that class who I was like, man, that girl is really attractive. I think I'm going to go win her.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this works. And so I knew nothing about her. I just knew that she was attractive. So after class one day, it took me a couple days, and you only go on Tuesday or Thursday. So it was probably a couple weeks that it took me to work up the courage to just go talk to this girl. And I did. And I walked with her kind of out to her car, the parking lot area. And she just talked to me the whole time. We got to know each other. And I'm like, this is what's so bad about it, is that I finished that conversation and I was kind of like, all right, I did it. And then I never talked to her again. It was like,
do you think she was confused?
Yes, because we were still in that class together. I'd see her every day and I'd be like, well,
I don't need you.
Went over that hill.
So it was just exchanged words and conversation.
That's it. I was like, I've accomplished something here. I'm pretty much Casanova. And that was it. And I never talked to her again. And we had the rest of that semester.
Do you think she knows? Would she, if she heard the name Ryan Wiggins, would she know that name?
No, not at all. Very safe telling that story. She's probably happily married for the last 20 years. No idea.
Let's go around with the YouTube live chat poll today. Who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? Trump's names that he threw out there were JD Vance, Marco Rubio. I'm letting you vote for another Republican or voting Democrat real quick. Ryan?
Another Republican.
Brad?
JD Vance.
I'm Marco Rubio. What are you, Ethan?
JD Vance.
JD Vance?
Mhm.
All right. You want to hit us up with the results here?
239 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Who do you support for the 2028 presidential race? Only 2% say they're voting Democrat. 11% say another Republican. 17% say Marco Rubio. And an overwhelming majority, 69%, say JD Vance.
Marco Rubio has a higher percentage than the leading Democrat vote getter in the Democrat Party, which was AOC, the only person to be in double digits as the potential nominee for the 2028 Democratic nominee. All right. Thank you for being with us here today. Make sure you subscribe to the Annie Fry Show podcast to see how Ryan viewed the show.
It's true.
It is true. All the titles on the podcast are named by Ryan. And you can tell. If you haven't checked it out, go to anniefryshow.com/podcast. Mark Reardon Show next.
Just a reminder to have your air conditioner checked for the summer so you don't have a mishap and it goes down in the hottest day of the year. But it's always best to have it done. Call us and we'll be more than happy to come out there and check it for you. And like always, if you're having your furnace checked by another company and you are told that this is the year you need to replace it, call me for a second opinion. The 0% interest is still available on most brands. Save your cash and keep your credit cards open and away from those high rates. Call me. You'll be glad you did. Bart Inman, one easy number in Missouri and Illinois. The easiest. It is 314-293-2600 or on the website bartinman.com.